couple of weeks,
Couple of weeks
whatever,
ago,
yeah.
regarding the road work done on Buckland, I asked if we could continue it. She's away on business time. So I would say continue it until your next hearing, which is July 9th.
Motion to move to July 9th.
Second.
Any questions? Gentlemen, those of you in the back row, if you have a conversation, want to go out, thank you. Any questions from the audience? Motion on the table is a continuance to July 9th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Request for determination of applicability. Nancy and Arthur Vidal, 25 Mill Road, East Falmouth, Mill Pond Way, East Falmouth, for permission to vista prune as per Falmouth wetland regulations and pruning branches away from the house. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw. The resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions on the audience? Any questions on the board? Any questions in the audience? Okay, if anyone's here for a determination, for an RDA, request for determination of applicability, if it's a negative determination, that means you can go ahead with the work that you've proposed to the staff. Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Lou Siligowski, 51 Toby Lane, East Falmouth, for permission to pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspool and install a new Title V sewage disposal system. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw. The resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion, a second on the table. Any questions?
We'll get it next time.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Motion on the table is to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Wolf Springer, 251 Sherwood Drive, East Falmouth, for permission to remove the existing septic system and install a new Title V sewage disposal system to remove the deck, excavate an underground oil tank, and rebuild the deck in the same location, 2 feet shorter.
Yes, Madam Chairman, we've reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, a second on the table, or any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, motion on the table is to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Continued request for determination of applicability. David and Leona Gibbs, 75 T-Ticket Pass, East Falmouth, for permission to remove the invasive plants and install native shrub species.
Yes, Madam Chairman, we have reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, motion on the table is to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Request for hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are heard simultaneously under the authority of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. Town of Falmouth Engineering Department, Surf Drive and Mill Road from 306 Surf Drive to intersection of Seagull Lane and Mill Road parking lot, Falmouth, for permission to regrade and repave approximately 1,150 linear feet of Surf Drive and approximately 100 feet of the south end of Mill Road with proposed drainage improvements on the Mill Road parking lot and associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Madam Chairman, I do not see the town's representative on this. It is not, Scott's not here for the project. It should be Holmes McGrath, so can we table this?
Motion to table till the applicant is here. Second.
Okay, motion to table. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna move down because Scott needs to get home to take care of his duty to his kids, wants to see his kids once in a while. So we're going to go to continued request to amend the existing order of conditions, Town of Falmouth Harbor Master off White's Landing Road. East Falmouth, request to amend the existing order of conditions, DEP 253606, to add a sidewalk, a new storm water mitigation design, improvements to the intersection of Route 28 and the parking lot entrance, to eliminate special condition number 6 and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, the staff reviewed this, the commission reviewed this a few weeks ago. We did continue it so that they could stake, the
Turnaround.
And, so it was a little bit more clear in the field of the impact involved.
Yep.
Hopefully it was clear. I
Good evening,
apologize
Scott.
again, I did not know that.
Yeah,
It's clear enough.
yep.
Scott, your name for the record.
Scott Schluter, Town of Falmouth Engineering Division.
No good news to give us about any other projects?
No, I was on vacation, so I don't know what the heck.
Oh, that's right.
We got a new surface down there. They were complaining about the gray. Now we have a nice brown with black beach.
Motion to
Okay.
close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Any questions from the audience? Okay, motion on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thanks,
Motion-
Scott.
Thank you very much.
Motion on
Thank
table
you.
for the,
And I'm also going to say, while Scott's here, the town has been applying for some grants, and Scott and Peter have done a marvelous job at getting all the material that's necessary, and so have some of the other people in town, but engineering is doing a wonderful job for the town. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. Good night.
I'll repeat my motion to untable the Town of Falmouth Engineering.
Second.
on Surf Drive.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Okay, back to Town of Falmouth Engineering Department. Surf Drive and Mill Road parking lot for permission to regrade and repave approximately 1,150 linear feet of Surf Drive and approximately 100 feet of the south end of Mill Road with proposed drainage improvements on Mill Road parking lot and associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I'm going to say any comments until after Rose's presentation.
So now, for another week, we have an enthusiastic stormwater engineer presentation. Good evening, Raul.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi, engineer at Holmes & McGrath, for the engineers and land surveyors for this project on behalf of the town of Falmouth. I have a couple of graphics that I'll pass along, some color graphic.
We can give Jen one and then we can share.
Share this. Thank you.
The project that we're presenting was presented to the board about a month ago under an RDA, but under an RDA, the board didn't feel that they can condition some of the things that were being proposed. The project, what it is the improvement to Surf Drive for a section of about 1,150 linear feet. The width of the road doesn't change. The overall geometry of the road doesn't change, with the exception of creating a super elevated cross-section. Right now, this section of the road is crowned in the middle. What we're doing, we're super elevating the southern side, southern half side of the road, and sending all the runoff towards the north side, and concentrating the runoff into an area where we're going to be proposing a drainage swale and a forebay. Currently, what's happening in this section of Surf Drive, runoff is being concentrated in a couple of areas off the shoulder of the road in property owned by salt ponds areas. This section of the property is dune land. It puddles until it overcomes kind of like the natural dunes until it creates its own way into salt pond. What we're creating now, we're proposing a berm on the north side of that section of the road to control all the runoff into the proposed drainage system. The drainage system is going to be installed in the public parking lot off of Mills Road. We're going to be taking a section of about 6 feet on the western side of the parking lot, protecting the swale with a guardrail. And then we're collecting on the back with a 4-bay, and then connecting with the existing drainage swale and drainage basins out back. There's no proposed clearing for any of the drainage or any of the road work. We are going to be clearing some of the areas where the dune has migrated over the pavement areas. We're going to be clearing those areas out. The sand could be used and may be used for a section that we're proposing, a dune restoration area. This dune restoration is in 3 of the lots of South Pond's areas. That area was restored like 5-6 years ago by NSTAR when they installed the underground utilities. But over time, the past 5, 6, 7 years, the public has been using the area for parking. All the dune grass is gone. So we're going to be installing some more sand in this area, planted with beach grass, and then installing a second section of guardrail all along the front of those 3 lots. That will protect the dune restoration that we're proposing, and it will also prevent the public from parking on this property, which is owned by South Pond's areas. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thanks, Raul. Jen, any questions?
Raul, in that proposed dune restoration area, those where those little parking signs are?
There are parkings that say do not park.
No. They say reserved for, or is that further down? I kind of thought that was right there.
It is not in those areas because the owner of that property has asked the town to place do not park signs on the property to avoid people from parking. There may be some parkings further down,
Okay.
but not on these 3
It's
lots.
not on those lots.
Well,
Okay.
any parking that would be there would be illegal. It's Salt Pond area bird sanctuary. There might be people who are parking there.
No, I understand that. I understand that. I know there's one parcel over there that someone says they have deeded parking rights to, but I don't know if that's between that person and
When we first came down, when I was first on the board, there were people who said they had deeded parking, and I never saw evidence of that.
Right, that's fine, but that would be between Salt Pond
And the people,
and those people.
right.
Correct.
Is that all, Jen?
That's it.
Courtney, any
Oh,
questions?
one more thing. Raul?
Yep.
You did look at the system, and it can't take this water and function?
Yes,
Okay. I figured you did, but I asked.
there's calculations. There's a,
Yeah.
Courtney?
So I want to be clear, this is the area that perennial, always floods when it rains?
yes, this is the lowest
That-
section on the road.
Yeah.
The big
I remember it vividly, a few years ago when I used to running the Falmouth Road Race and getting to that puddle, 3 feet of water, I actually swam across it. So
Currently,
it's kind of nasty. So you're not raising the grade there?
There is a catch basin on the south side. The elevation of that rim is 3.7, something to that. You can imagine at elevation 3.7, that pit is in groundwater.
Yeah.
What we're doing, we're kind of massaging some of the grades. The area is very flat. We're proposing, I think, is a third of a pitch towards the low point.
Yeah,
The
they're
new
changing
low
the
point-
grade and changing where the low point's gonna be, so it'll
We're going to be
look right.
raising some of the existing low points and creating a new low point where we're proposing the swell.
But I mean, my observation on that road is, it's all along that road. You put any drainage in there, and it fills up with sand with the first storm.
Right,
And
that's-
then, and so I'm assuming that what you're designing is not gonna be one of these things that fails and makes it irrelevant?
Courtney, you know the system that was designed a few years ago, and it's the big swale in the mill pond?
No, I
in the
understand.
mill- in the
This is
parking
a
lot,
slightly,
they're
yeah,
forcing-
but it's a
forcing
slightly
it.
different condition, because it's a lot more dynamic there.
Yeah, they're gonna force it, they're enlarging it and they're gonna force all the water into that.
If they have to come and dig out sand from the drain swale, then they'll have to do that.
There's no question that there's maintenance required.
I understand what they're supposed to do.
This is a much better,
I'm
this
very
is
much
much
aware
better
of what
than
they're
having
supposed to do. I'm
than
talking
having
about reality.
drains that are in groundwater and they, catchments that get filled with sand.
Right, there's no
You're
question
forcing it-
that the town has to maintain it. And like any other drainage system anywhere, without maintaining, it's gonna go bad.
Yeah.
There is O&M with this notice of intent, and it is conditioned through the board.
Mike?
Those parking signs for for parking at 276, 268, 264.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's directly across in the area for the
Yeah.
dune restoration. I'm all in favor of more plants, less parking, but if somebody has a right to that, so,
That will be between them and
It's-
Belmont.
That's not,
okay.
The
Our
property
purview.
owners have approached the town to prevent people from parking there, to prevent.
There's two
public from parking
stretches,
there.
and one that is clearly people parked, and with that nice parking lot down the road, I don't see any benefit of that. But there are people directly across the street who believe they have rights, based on, they painted up nice signs. So, you know, you gotta believe they believe it. So, I'm just saying,
and they have a right to exercise
Yeah.
those rights in the proper form.
and
But
that's
it's
fine.
not here.
It's not here, that's fine. Unless we're granting parking or restoration in an area, that's my, you know, I have no knowledge here.
Tom?
Nice to see this complete the corner. N-Star's out. We previously addressed what we could from the other way. It's very challenging here because of the elevations. I think this is as good as you're gonna get.
No questions.
Mario?
Just on the dune restoration again, has there been any kind of a planting plan or schematic on what's going in there? I didn't see this.
I didn't see one, Raul will condition
We can
that.
condition that.
On the plans, we do have on sheet 2,
2 or
we
4?
call out what the area is and what's being proposed to be
Planted.
planted.
Raul?
Raul may want a little bit more detailed plan on that dune height, so we'll condition that for you. Okay. So, Mario, on sheet 2, they do have, you know, where they're gonna put the beach grass, but it doesn't say the height. Oh, yeah, there's some grades. Raul, those existing or proposed buffers?
Those are existing.
That's what I thought.
The proposed low points are not really defined with these grades, but the whole intention is to use the sand that's going to be cleared off of the road and fill those low points in that shoulder.
In that area where you have the plant,
Yes,
so you're not bringing in any additional fill and building up that dune at all?
no.
Okay. Okay.
Raul? Will the drainage swale going into the drain forebay, will that be like those big chunky rocks?
The first section to
Back
slow
off.
down, the first 10 feet to slow down the velocity of the flow
Right?
is going to be the 6-inch stones,
Yep,
Yeah.
which is what typically is called trap rock.
yep.
The remaining of the swale is the 3-inch stone, which is like, you more or less see it in construction access roads,
Yep,
and then you get to the forebay.
to the forebay, okay. Okay, any other questions? Court?
I'll move to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second?
Okay. Motion and second, any other questions on the board? Any questions from the audience on this project? Any idea of when this would be done? The fall?
I would think it's probably now in the fall, given that it's summer now. They don't
Yeah,
want
well, I'm
to
sure it won't be
No,
done
we
now.
should rip up Surf Drive right now. It's gonna be.
Okay, thanks, Raul. Okay, motion and second on the table to close the hearing and take it under advisement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Good night, Raul.
Night, Raul.
Oh, yeah, I think unless we don't want to, I'd rather give you all.
You're gonna give me all?
Except she didn't. We'll find out. Okay, Patricia Garland, 114 Quaker Road, West Falmouth, for permission to construct a garage, reposition and rebuild steps, remove 14 trees, install native trees and shrubs, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen,
I'll save any of my questions until after Mr. Duncan's presentation.
good evening, Tom.
I hope you're looking at a revised plan.
There was a revised plan put in front of you tonight. The only revisions to that plan were that it was very clear where the landward extent of the coastal dune was, and he added this Falmouth Beach on line. Those are the only changes to that plan. So I said it was okay to bring it in. What was the date on yesterday or
Yesterday.
okay.
There's a revision June 18th and then another revision June 24th. The last one, Jen pointed out that I didn't have the 25-foot bound velocity zone.
Yes, we noticed.
Funny how you pick those things out.
Oh, and Mario, they submitted data sheets, DPW data sheets. So those should be in front of you as well.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Jen?
They have
submitted
BVW data sheets, which are in
Yes,
front
I
of you.
did, I checked that out, yep, yep.
Jack Vaccaro submitted that, or did the delineation. Anyway, for those of you, I hope you all went out there. It's a really lovely site, that beach and the house. This property fronts, it's a long property, fronts between Quaker Road and Buzzards Bay to the house down at the end of the driveway. A large lawn, some riprap down to a really nice beach there. Buzzards Bay, of course, has some velocity zone associated with it. That runs roughly along the face of the riprap, and a 25-foot further inland velocity zone is on the plan now. On the inland side of the property, there's also a bordering vegetated wetland. And there's a velocity zone that comes up through the north part of that wetland. And there's also that Falmouth velocity zone line is here also. There's inland from that, there's an A zone, A12 elevation 15, and it changes to A12 elevation 14. And this entire property basically is in that latter flood zone. Pretty much all of it is below elevation 14 until you get up to almost off the property, off the lot here. So we have along the water side some coastal bank and coastal dune down here. And on the inland side, there is coastal bank and some coastal bank. There's a very wide, rather wide path going through here from the driveway in this location along the wetland here. And of course, the paved driveway runs in, makes a circle here, parking for the existing house. There is also, what would be considered some coastal bank through here. There's some, from the construction of the driveway, there's some slopes and stone wall along this area here. So what they want to do is add an attached garage to the seaward side of the house in this location. It's taking up about half of the garage is on the location of where the pavement is now. To get into the doorways, we'll have to add some pavement here, but some other pavement is being removed in this location, basically to enlarge the island along the edge of the garage. It will create sort of two dead-end little driveways where you'll have to come in and back out to some extent. But that can be done. And also these steps that run, currently there's some steps and stepping stones, a walkway and stairs that run down here where they're clipping the corner of the garage. They'll be moved out a little bit. This corner right here of the garage, the entry from the garage, the house will be right in this location, cutting through a small room that's right here. So on this side, right here, be a porch and some stones wrapping around the garage over here. The original narrative I wrote, I think the garage was in a different location when we first filed it. In the notice, I think it said there are 16 trees. There are fewer trees being removed, less disturbance overall. Some of the trees that are right in here, I can't remember what kind they are, but they're not native. But there are some trees, some other cedar trees, oak trees, and sassafras in this location. Besides these trees, all the area which will be within the limit of work is currently disturbed. There's lawn. It's all lawn, and these trees are, limbed up. Some of the older oak trees are in somewhat failing health. A lot of storm damage, and they're just older and have rot on the inside of them. As part of the mitigation, we have, it's in the B zone, we're increasing the impervious surface by 767 square feet. We'll be adding 1,540 square feet of planting. And some of this will be along basically one row of native shrubs along here, keep this pathway open. Be putting approximately 550 square feet of shrubs and 6 tupelo trees along this location. And then the remainder, 990 square feet of more bayberry and beach plum with some eastern red cedar trees in this location. The planting back here would be more of the freshwater type wetland shrubs, viburnum and amelanchier and aronia down in this location, as opposed to the beach plum and bayberry up here. That's the proposal. I'll take questions.
Thanks, Tom. Jen? No questions. Mario?
Tom, you've saved a couple of significant oaks there in the center, where it says protect trees. My concern is with the what you call a 26-inch oak with pavements going in. The limit of work was literally practically leaning against this tree, and it looked to me to be more like a 40-inch diameter tree. It used to be 2 trees at one time, like they grew together, and you measure at breast height. We're talking a significant tree, larger than what you have indicated there. Is there any way we can ensure the integrity of that tree? I mean, the new pavement's coming in pretty close there.
We could, we really need more of the pavement we could keep a radius around that tree. We'll need
Do you think you
whatever,
can go work around it?
whatever you would recommend. I mean, there's existing pavement nearby, but whatever you think would be necessary.
I'm just seeing 160 square feet of new pavement.
Yeah, we have
Right
new
there.
pavement going right there, but that could be, we could put another curve in there to keep somewhat around it.
I would suggest that maybe we put a condition in the order of conditions.
Yep,
to
that
put
can be conditioned.
Construction,
Yep.
construction fencing around.
Yep, that can
each
be
street,
conditioned.
just to make sure.
We're about, looks like the pavement now is about 6 feet away from it. I don't know if that's enough, 6.
It's a big root system, too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my only concern.
I mean, you could do it also with, perhaps with, I don't know if, well, gravel would compact it just as much, I suppose, as putting pavement on it.
That's all I have.
But if you want to condition that somehow.
Yeah, yep,
On construction fencing in which area?
I have it.
To
It's
the north of the garage.
to the north, to the north of the driveway. It's labeled as a 26-inch oak, double.
Got it, see it.
Russ?
My problem is with the mitigation plantings on that north side path there. I'm just concerned that the invasives are just gonna grow into it and wipe it out. I was thinking that maybe if you planted trees down the center of it, of that path, and kept mowing it, it would help keep the invasives down. I don't know if that's possible.
I would double the number of trees and then mow to either side of the trees to keep the invasives.
If we didn't put it down the center, I think they'd want to keep that.
Well, you could
No, I'm
put it
just
to
talking
the
about the
side.
trees themselves, not the plantings.
Right,
Just
but
saying,
So you want 12 cedars instead of 6?
Were you gonna put cedars there?
I got
those are Tupelo there.
Tupelos. Yeah, I would just set them out far enough from the edge so you can mow to just keep all those invasives
Oh, I
back.
see where you are.
If we're talking, I mean,
And then,
are we talking about possibly only the trees and
yeah,
not shrubs?
that's what we're talking about.
right.
I think the shrubs are gonna get overwhelmed
Right,
right
though.
away.
Yeah, they probably would. It's about 3 feet in, that, Lisa and Doug
Oh.
Garland are here, so I'm just,
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you put shrubs, that they'll be overgrown, in the first spring.
I mean, the Tupelos are gonna get it too, because they're showing it's being
But if
planted
you had the
in that
tupelos
strip.
in enough that you could mow a strip, yeah, yeah, and then just have that wall.
That was my thing.
It's like a 3-foot wide.
Well,
mowing,
whatever-
clearing strip
whatever-
enough, or-
You need to, whatever
Yeah.
machine you use to keep that wall of invasives, a wall.
Right, this is beautiful, that's a beautiful path.
It is.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah, on the pond side.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they'll just grow right over if you put bushes right next to those invasives, they'll just be,
Infiltrate.
they'll infiltrate and be overgrown.
Madam
No,
Chairman, so you're saying get rid of the 550 square feet of mitigation and just add 6 more tubelos and mow in that area, but you're going to keep the,
The vegetation over here is fine,
Yeah.
by the water.
yeah.
just to me, it was a big waste to do that, because you know what's gonna happen.
Well, I know, and I.
And this way,
could
when they're
have one on
mowing
the
it-
other side of it too. That seaward planting, but probably less so because of the wind exposure. It'll keep stuff pushed back.
A little bit. Tom?
Beautiful spot. I wish I was recusing myself. I would love to be involved in this. Big thing here, we also have something coming up right next door. This site management is gonna be key here. First thing that's gonna go is the gate at the driveway. As I came in, I work for a local contractor, and every truck, lumber truck, drywall, everything, the gate's gonna, it's not gonna make it. Some of that low vegetation coming in. And as I'm driving in, that's how I tentatively look at everything, is that if I'm going to work. You have replaced one of the power lines, power poles. There's others that are not in good shape. That's down near the swale. And that's where people are gonna start parking. The guys are gonna fill up, and all that's gonna get occupied up by the house, and your dumpster and all that. And then the overflow, every single guy that wants to go get coffee at the West Falmouth Market, they're gonna park down below. And I have some concerns about site management. That's the key of this. And it can be done. I do it. So it's something that you're gonna have to be careful of, because that right-hand side will be the one that takes the beating. The side with the grass as you're coming in, that's gonna recoup itself. But the damage can be done on the right, because that's the more sensitive area in my eyes as things progress along. You're gonna have form trucks, concrete trucks, electrical vans, every trade. And protecting that oak, as my fellow commissioner had said, something substantial. Orange fence is nice. We want something that lets somebody get a scratch. They don't like scratching their trucks. So something that, like the old snow fence, that'll leave a mark. That's a lesson learned.
Tom, do you want that stretched all the way down the driveway?
No, I'd really have to spend more time. I occupied most of my time up at the house, just an observation coming in. You know, we don't want to have everybody all of a sudden squishing 6 trucks on the right-hand side
Oh, I know.
to get a 10-wheeler by.
No, I know. So that's something that maybe the staff will go out and look at.
Yeah,
Maybe
just,
we have to put that snow fence all the way down. Maybe
Well,
we
in
will.
more
Not
sensitive
all.
areas, it's where
Yeah.
that's, where the low spot is. And again, where you want to protect the trees, if you want to put something that'll scratch somebody, lesson learned. As I was walking through a couple different ways, there's been some cutting, historical cutting on the north side of the house, just some small stuff. I don't know how long you've owned the home.
Wait, you can't go back and forth unless
So-
they're up.
Sorry, I apologize.
If you want to ask, you can come up and.
That's okay. I'll just make it known to the engineer. Your applicant has some cutting that's been going on historically over the years. And that's something that could be permittable, but it needs to be addressed with the proper channels. There's also a boat and a float. I don't know if those are on your property. They're way down by the water. Not a good place to put that float. Really not a good place. It's in a dune. And I think outside of that, all the concerns that I had, and I'm gonna repeat this on your next project, site management is gonna be key. You're gonna have to have somebody, a gatekeeper, who is aware of the orders of condition, truly, and appreciates it and understands what it is. Wind-blown material in this area is also gonna be a poo-poo to-do caca. I mean, it'll end up places you never could get to without it getting wet. That's about all I got. Thank you.
I could point out that there's a small private road where some of the contractors could park and walk if they, up off a Quaker
Like a-
Road, which could help the
Yeah,
situation.
it's just something that, when it gets to a cluster, I mean, it's chaotic at best. You know, when you have a sizable project, I mean, it's a challenge, but challenges are met. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Mike?
Moving the garage to the south was a big improvement from first to middle.
Yeah.
It's a big garage, 900 square feet. But
It's actually a lot for, you mentioned the boat and things, it's for boats, partly for boats, other things to go in here rather than being stored elsewhere.
And the size in this instance doesn't bother me as much because no matter what size, you're gonna have the trees going. So you're gonna deal with that. So I mean, that underlying first impression was, taken care of in the field. I think my fellow commissioners have brought it up, my issues.
Court?
Yeah, I'll echo Tom's concerns about site management. It's critical, and the reality is, having been in the building business for quite some time, is that, the tradespeople, it's not on their top of their priority list to, show concern for the area. It's not that they're not caring, it's just that that's not on their priority list. And I think it's essential that there be somebody on the construction team whose job it is to, I call them a clerk of the works, whatever, to manage that, because otherwise, we can write it into the order of conditions until we're blue in the face, and it won't make a damn bit of difference.
Tom? I don't have a problem at all with the project. I think you did a good job. I'm just curious, I don't quite see, looking at the driveway and looking at the garage, how cars and boats are gonna be? What angle are they gonna go into the garage? Are they gonna come in from the
It's
northeast?
Northeast, yeah.
the northeast, it's gonna be a double door, so it will be coming in at an angle, because obviously they can't come in straight on, so it'd be a double wide door,
Okay,
probably for one car, and then, boats can be maneuvered in on the, by hand or something right on the trailer.
okay, and you have enough room to turn around there?
They'll be, they'll be backing and turning, and they'll,
Hopefully not backing into that 28-inch oak.
right, no,
They won't be able to do it.
we'll put bollards up.
Okay. Any other questions?
Only have 20 people.
Well, as some of us might remember, we had another garage project where people wanted to put the garage. It turns out they wanted to switch which wall they came into, and then when they switched, they didn't have room to turn around. So I just want to make sure, before we go ahead and build this project, we don't paint ourselves into a corner that we can't get out.
It was discussed. Yes, yep.
I guess you could go to a parking lot and put chalk on it and practice
See,
your driving skills.
as Tom says, when if you get a scratch in your car, it's lesson learned.
Okay?
You just have to come up to the
Yeah.
podium. If you could just address yourself for the...
And you have to tell us who you are.
My name is Doug Garland. I'm the president of the family that's doing this. Do we have to go in that way? I thought there was an option to go in that way where it'd be straighter.
This we talked about. I mean, we could amend the order if you wanted to revise the plans.
Or you could ask for a continuance and revise the plans and not go
I
through
don't think
it
we'd
in
want to
order.
do that. No, that's fine. I guess they talked it over, but just to help with the...
I don't really care I don't really care which way you do it. I just want to make sure that there's
Tom,
enough
you are
room.
gonna stop that driveway.
What's that?
Remember, you said you're gonna stop that driveway, right?
Right. Yes. We talked just yesterday.
Yes, we talked about this design, didn't we?
So what are you,
We're good.
we're good, all right. Well, let's put a motion on the table.
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay, now, are there any other questions from the audience?
I have a question.
You just have to come up to the podium and identify yourself for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Mary Beth Mosier, and my family has a property that abuts this project on Nemasket Road. And I just had a question, because a couple of the gentlemen had said things about the debris and things that would happen during construction. And if debris were to go out, say, into the pond area or whatever, that you wouldn't be able to get at it, as someone said, unless you got wet. What would happen in the order of conditions if the order of conditions weren't met and this kind of thing did happen?
I'll let you answer that.
Well, it'd be an enforcement order.
Okay, I just don't know what.
What happens if people are doing something in violation of their order of conditions?
Well, it's just that yeah,
We can issue a cease and desist until
okay,
the problems have been addressed,
okay.
and then, yeah, I mean,
And if
the
you
last
see
thing-
any problem, just contact our office,
Okay,
and we would go down there. We would, first of all, attempt to work with the contractor, have them clean up the site, go down the next day if our direction hadn't been met or listened to, then we'd shut the project down until they complied with the order, clean
Okay.
up that site, and then we'd let them back on.
all right.
If I may, through the chair. When I say blowing in there, I don't mean like somebody's Dunkin' Donuts cup.
No, I know what you
And-
mean.
Yeah.
But it was something I hadn't even thought about, and then I kind of was envisioning it, and I thought, oh boy, because that is kind of hard to get
One of the
at.
conditions that we're gonna put in here is to secure your outhouses. okay? Because those blow over too.
We
Right, those are things
we know
that-
about these
know,
kinds of things.
You know, it's a drum that I'm constantly beating, site management.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing for over 30 years in this town. And things happen. It's to make the engineer aware that when he talks to the contractor, that there's all these eyes on the board that live in the town. That's why sometimes, I'm glad this is on camera. We live in the town, we have people that talk and neighbors that come, and we're very visible. And it's also good that you're here as an abutter to see how this process is being done. And you're our eyes as well, you know, and it's not to harass your neighbor, it's just to, the first thing you do is say, hey, by the way, some stuff blew over, and I'm sure that in good faith they say, oh, thank you for letting me know. But if it went a week, 2 weeks, and it was a continual thing,
Right.
you know, and it's not just a conservation thing, that's also in your building permit.
Right.
You know, when you're a contractor, you're responsible for everything on site. And that's just,
To keep everything on site.
yeah, you know, the behavior of people and everything.
Neither wind nor water is supposed to blow stuff from your site to any neighbor's site.
Okay, it's just such a beautiful undisturbed area, so we just wanted to make sure. It was just something when you mentioned it, I hadn't even thought about that, so, but thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other, yes?
I just have a quick,
That's right. But the rule here is you have to come and tell us who you are if you want to say something.
Mary Lou Howard, and I am a resident on Jetty Lane, the Jetty Lane Association, and I'd like to say that the Garlands have been very good neighbors. Thank you. And when we received this notice, it said the applicant has filed notice of intent with conservation seeking permission to remove, fill, dredge, or alter an area subject to protection under the Wetlands Protection Act. So if I understand correctly, what we're actually talking about is the vegetation, the older trees. We're not talking about filling or dredging or
No,
actually
that's sort of
disturbing.
just, that's kind of a general, that goes out, because any of those activities might take place, but the only activities that are going to take place in this project are what was just described.
Is for the garage, and there's
Right.
not going to be any filling, dredging, blah, 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 blah.
Right, right. They
We're
don't-
talking about the trees.
Right, the order of conditions will reference this plan and the narrative that went with it, and that's all it covers. You can't build a mountain here, you can't make a 007 boathouse out to Buzzards Bay.
All right, well, that was my question. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, we have any further questions on the board? Okay, we have a motion, a second on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Now, may I make a request?
I don't know.
I'd like to make one. I know that Jen is going on vacation. We'd like, if possible, we'd like to get a decision in less than 21 days, if that's possible.
We're actually going to vote these tonight.
You don't have to vote this one tonight. This
Well-
one should be voted on the 9th, and I could have Mario, Russ, Tom, and Mike, unless you wanted
But
to.
I would just as soon
Clear it out.
clear up anything
Clear it
that
up.
has been closed.
All right,
So we'll,
where's the chair? Are you next?
Yes, he is.
Patricia Garland, Lot 2, Quaker Road, West Falmouth, for permission to construct a 5-bedroom, single-family house with attached garage, entryway, deck, install a crushed stone driveway, Title V sewage disposal system, AC units, utilities, dry wells, driveway drainage, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Jen, I will save any questions until after Mr. Belford's presentation.
Tom, welcome again.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Tom Bunker, BSS Design. This property is just to the south of the one we were just discussing. Actually, the one we were just discussing, that lot goes in front of the property of this one. It's actually This lot does not have frontage on Buzzards Bay. But there is another long, narrow lot, actually comes all the way in from Quaker Road and down to this location. The access for it would be the existing driveway that we had just discussed. And in the interest of site management, I'm sure that two projects will not be done at the same time. We have Buzzards Bay on the west, the coastal dune, it's a velocity zone, the Falmouth velocity zone. And it's an A zone up into halfway through the house up on the property here. Part of the lawn of the house next door goes onto this lot a little bit. There's also a little bunkhouse or shed that's on the property right here. The inland wetland is also a factor in this. It's in this location on the far side of the driveway from this property. You have the driveway. The flood zone comes in up on the north side of this property also. And there's coastal bank across here being steeper than 10 to 1 right through here. There's the flood zone and the bank. What we're proposing is a house in this location. Limit of work through here, limit of work right along the edge of where it's now cleared, and then back up along the property line. Driveway coming in off of the existing driveway, and a septic system on the landward side. Septic system is 144 feet from the vegetated wetland to this location. There is another isolated wetland back up here, and I think it's more than 200 feet to that wetland here. And Jack Vaccaro did the flagging here, he delineated the coastal dune in this location. 99 feet in from that location to the edge of the deck. To get to this building site from here, we'll be crossing a coastal bank. So we'll be excavating and cutting out some of that coastal bank to give it a less of a slope. The bank, you can say it's a secondary bank. We have the wetland, there's a coastal bank along through here. It's separated by the driveway, and then there's another bank. Some of that is the result of it being man-made from the excavation of the driveway back however long ago that driveway was made. But it suggests that because it is, although I know some would say that any flood zone is part of the sea, so therefore it's seaward facing. In this case, though, it is facing away from Buzzards Bay, that any storm surge, most storm surge would be coming in from Buzzards Bay and overwash going toward the inland wetland. I'd say that this landform, this bank, will not serve as storm damage prevention in this location here, because the water will be flowing that way when it comes through. So I think it's not significant to storm damage prevention. It has some lawn on it. The vegetation is no different from any of the other vegetation in the area. I think it's not significant for wildlife habitat. What are the other significant, well, anyway, that's, I feel that it's not detrimental to environmental interests to do this limited amount of work on this, across this coastal bank that's in this location. And we will be adding some drainage structure at the bottom of it to capture any runoff. And that structure could also reduce some of the runoff from the existing driveway. So I think that would actually be a positive effect to put that down through there. It will be a crushed stone driveway. So it's not actually really going to create more runoff. There will be a loss of vegetation from the bank. But other than that, I think there'll be no detrimental effect, and I think this should be permissible as drawn.
And that's
I'll
it?
take questions.
All right, Jen?
Tom, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I think that this bank is significant to flood control and wildlife habitat. That said, I don't have tremendous amount of concerns with what it's proposing to do. I just don't agree with the statement that it's not significant. I think you can do this driveway, but I would, not go as far as saying that the resource area is not significant to certain interests. That's it.
But look at it this way, glad that Tom recognizes that even though it faces opposite Buzzards Bay, it still faces the sea if there's a flood.
Yeah, and that's why I say flood control, that flood.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Come right up and over, and that
You've been
bank-
saying it for a long time.
I've been saying it for a long time.
I think it absolutely is significant to flood control. So,
But given the position, given the height,
yeah. I mean, you're not taking the whole bank down, you're just cutting right through to that driveway area.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much of a,
Courtney,
not too concerned with that.
Mike?
No questions.
Oh,
When I was walking around, I came up the driveway, I wanted to slap your hand earlier, because the next time you put, 114 lot 2, you could have go that way first. I went all through the bullbriar, coming up the driveway, the existing, proposed driveway, I'm going all through the happy crap to get to the thing, all of a sudden I realized there's a clearing on the other side. Oh, great, I could have walked
Yeah.
that way.
yeah, well, we went through the.
I
we
scratched the
went through
living
the
daylights
poison-
out of myself.
I went through the poison ivy.
Oh, it's
To do
lovely.
it.
You could have
However-
studied the plan first.
Recognizing in front of that, I jumped up on a tree out in front of the deck area. And I would anticipate maybe in the future, when the structure is up, if you wanted to do a Vista application, something like that. I wouldn't be overly concerned about it now. In fact,
We
I'd
would
rather.
discourage it.
Yeah, I rather enjoyed walking that little, where that little seat is, and you come up the little path and such. It's a extremely dense buffer in there, and it's nice to kind of be hidden out of that. You have a lot of view over on the other side, but it also is a benefit to the structure as well. Outside of that, could have been a bigger arrow pointing to the lawn first, but no other comments.
Yeah,
as
it was
you get
kind of
more
like a
detail.
surprise when you found the lawn, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like, poop, I could have gone the other way.
No questions.
I have questions.
All right.
Okay. I have some big questions on this one. And I would hope the commission would rethink the position on this. Tom, you made the statement in the narrative that there is no wildlife habitat because there is no special topographic or vegetation characteristics which make this location special. And I would maintain just the opposite. What you're proposing is a 5-bedroom house with big appurtenances, a big SAS, right smack dab in the middle of a mixed oak maritime forest with great significance to wildlife habitat. This would essentially wipe out that section of forest. So I don't see how you can make a statement that this will have no impact on wildlife habitat. It took me 10 minutes to bushwhack in there to find the house corners. That's how dense the forest is in that area.
I think, I don't have that right in front of me. I think I was referring mainly to that right on what was the coastal bank.
Well,
I mean,
I agree that the coastal bank is not a sediment source and is not significant to storm damage prevention. I agree with you on that. But as far as wildlife habitat is concerned, I think we need less McMansions in this town than we do forests. We are the tree city, remember? Okay? This and the following project, which I will not comment on, they're both going to be significantly impacting wildlife habitat and water quality, at least for the second project. And I'll tell you, unless you decide to huddle with your clients and considerably downsize the footprint, I mean, if this comes to a vote tonight, I could not in all good conscience vote for it.
Okay, I want to make a comment. I think it's a beautiful forest. However, it meets our regulations. It's outside the A buffer zone to the coastal bank. And there are times that people have projects in front of us, and it doesn't meet our regulations. And if it doesn't meet our regulations, then we can't permit it. However, the opposite happens. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, even though I hate to see that habitat go, it's a project that's within our permittable regulations.
Right.
I think it's an overuse of the land, and I think they should reconsider the size of the footprint. I'm not saying they can't put anything out there. I think it's a gross overuse. We're talking about a 5-bedroom house here with a huge SAS, a big porch, a garage, essentially undisturbed. It's not a woodland, it's a forest.
Yeah, I understand exactly where you're coming from, but I also, every meeting, say our authority is under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. And under those authorities, I have to make my decision under that. There's a whole, we could all debate about what we would like to see Falmouth be or what we don't want to see Falmouth turn into. But that's not within our
I could point out,
authority.
we're showing just this part of the lot. And it does look very tight on this part. The lot's 51,000 square feet. You see that the house only counts for 2.7% coverage, which has a very low lot coverage, by today's standards. I understand this is the only part of the lot where a house could be built. I mean, the rest of it is long and narrow going up to Quaker Road. So it does look like a lot right here, but if you look at the entire size of the lot, it's not so big.
Which you show in your little schematic up here.
Yeah, and some of that lot does have the driveway going through it, and so it's not all, some of it's already covered
Disturbed.
driveway, but
Yeah.
disturbed. But it also has habitat along it too. But I understand, this is habitat which is closer to the ocean than the rest of it.
Are there any other questions?
Motion to close?
Wait, just 1 minute.
We'll give them a minute. Tom, do you want to table this?
Tom, table it.
No, I think we can continue.
We can continue?
Yes, you may continue.
Thank you.
Thank you. You made a motion to close this and take it under advisement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? Yes.
Madam Chairman, are we voting on this tonight?
Well, we said we would vote.
James Carney, 30 Jetty Lane, West Falmouth. I haven't had an opportunity to walk the lot, but I've sent plans to my engineers, and we are currently reviewing the town of Falmouth regulations, just so I understand them better. But a couple points, I've been down there a long time. We've been down here almost
Could you
100.
just speak up a little
We've
bit?
been down here 100 years.
Yep.
So that doesn't matter, but there are things more in your control, I believe, in this project. Not everything is completely black and white. There are some variances they're looking for and so forth that still does put it in the control of this commission, right? Some of the changes that he wants to make. And as far as, I have no problem with the garlands or whatever else, and I didn't worry about your garage, and much like you're saying, you know, much smaller footprint and all the rest, because it's a beautiful piece of land. So I've been on the other side of this, so I know it well. So it's all balance, right? It's all compromise in some cases.
Well, in fact, sir, it isn't compromise. We have a set of regulations. We have to
I
judge it
understand, but
based on our
I
regulation.
believe there are certain things in your regulations that if I went right now, you wouldn't have to approve this.
Well, there are 6 people.
Well, if you're talking about
And-
a sediment thing and swale and moving this or moving that, right? Like if you're,
I didn't, did we talk about swales?
or making any kind of changes that are outside some of the restricted areas, right? And so, like I said, I've sent this to my engineers, just so I understand more, and I'm all for doing something, but as far as the wildlife, I can tell you, there's foxes and rabbits and all that stuff going back and forth across and all the rest. And I think whether you have in the town of Falmouth, you have what you can do in your committee, and then there's something you can try to do to guide people, right, which is not realistic, not legally binding, but there's a balance there, and I think the town of Falmouth needs to approve things that make sense, because it's your land, you shouldn't be bound and not be able to do things with it, but there's that balance, and I think there needs to be more of that in this town, personally.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, but that balance is not within our
Maybe, I don't know enough, I
judging a
can't.
project that comes, well, and I can tell you,
Yeah.
I've seen over 1,000 projects in the last 10 years.
Yep.
And there are projects that I don't like,
I understand that.
but I have to approve them
I understand,
because they've met regulations.
I understand.
There are projects, I understand your concerns, I understand Mario's concerns.
Yeah.
But I also have to, somebody who's proposing a project in front of us
Right,
has to have an idea of what the limits are. And these are our regulations.
I understand.
A project like this all comes under what's FWR 10.18, which
Right.
is our buffer regulations.
Right.
And this project meets everything in the buffer
Does
regulations.
it meet all DEPs?
The state
The
is
Wetlands Protection Act?
much
Oh, yes.
more relaxed than we are. The
Okay,
town regulations
Okay.
are much more stringent,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I understand, and people come before us with projects, and they say, this has historical significance, or this has this, or
Right,
this
no,
has
I
that,
understand,
which, I'm sympathetic, I live here too,
yeah.
but we have to judge something under the regulations.
I get it, and I think, my experience in other towns that I live in has been, their regulations are different, right? So they have more
Some-
authority, right?
Some towns don't even have local wetlands
Yeah.
regulations.
No, I understand, it's just like I said, I think I'm not
So
saying no to
here's-
this, it's just the footprint that is
Sir,
the angst.
Sir, you know what I would suggest?
Yeah,
You know the Garlands, you're sort of next to one another through the poison ivy and
yeah.
briars,
Yeah.
but you can go around Quaker Road. I suggest, if you would like to suggest that they make a more modest house, talk with them, and they may agree with you, and then they can go to Tom, and Tom could come in for an amendment.
Yeah.
And an amendment that reduces the size of the house, Mario would be happy to see.
I would be delighted.
See?
Yeah, okay.
But I absolutely appreciate your concern.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yeah.
Just so you know, if you notice on this plan, one of the revisions that he had to do was some of the buffer regs that we have. And there's a Falmouth 25-foot V-zone that is above, that's another 25-foot of buffer that we regulate. And so I took a little bit of umbrage when you say Falmouth should do more. I think we do quite a bit. This is a very formidable project.
Yeah.
Despite personal opinions or whatever.
Yeah, right.
It is a very formidable project. And And that's all I
Like I
have to
said,
say.
I've been on the other side where I live. I live in Manchester, my other house is in Manchester by the Sea. I had an 8-acre lot, putting a house in, and so I've been on both sides, and that's where, it's all about balance, trying to get balance and preserve the integrity of the town as much as you can. And so, you work with your regulations. Our regulations just happen to be stricter, so that's the town difference. But, like I said, I think, the root of, this is what the requirements are, as your point, those are the requirements, that's it.
I mean, it meets the requirements.
Yep, okay. That's fair enough.
So at least, according to me, we'll have to wait to see what the vote is.
Right.
Everybody gets to vote, and then it's the majority of
Yeah.
the people who are voting.
And the set of requirements are available through Town Hall?
I think you can,
Clerk's office?
can you purchase this? I think you can purchase this in the clerk's
Are they
office.
online or?
They are,
Online.
they are online.
Oh, great. That'd be
That's
great.
a
Just
lot
so I
easier.
understand.
That's a lot easier for
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Susan, I believe we have a motion on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. Is that correct? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Continued request for hearings under a notice of intent. That's why I thought you looked familiar. That's
Frying pan into the fire.
Richard Nugent, 53 Edgewater Drive West, East Falmouth, for permission to construct a new single-family house deck, AC units, outdoor shower, patio, install a new Title V sewage disposal system, shell driveway, utilities, dry wells, native mitigation plantings, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, ma'am. I will save any of my questions or comments until after Wayne participates.
Wayne, good evening.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. My name is Wayne Tavares. I'm presenting a case for 53 East, Edgewater Drive West to build a house. The owner is here, Mr. Nugent, and I just want to go through the way this developed. First of all, I did flag a wetland, hopefully, and put a DEP report in. Hopefully, Mario took a look at it. It was kind of a difficult flagging because it was all by soils. It's essentially a drainage area on the upper end of Eel River, and consequently, the blue line that you see on your plan, first on the left-hand side, you see the BVW flags. The second line in, coming from left to right, is the zone A11, 11-foot elevation, and it's a still water flood area, and it is not the top of a coastal bank. We did research in there. We sat down with Mark, and Jen actually sat in on the conversation where the separation of the contours is too great to constitute a coastal bank. So consequently, our nearest resource area for setbacks would be the BVW. So we did a 50-foot BVW line. That's the next green, two-tone green line to the right of the 12-foot contour. And then you'll see another 50-foot line, which is 100 feet, represents 100 feet from the BVW. Now, in that area, what we've done is we've developed a house. The house situates along the lines of existing houses that are up in Seacoast Shores. And consequently, there is no AC units as advertised, and there is no shower as advertised. So what you see on this plan is sort of what you get. The overage into the 100-foot line is 409 square feet of the house. It doesn't really have to be mitigated because we don't have a Falmouth Zone A or a Falmouth Zone B in this area, but we chose to mitigate it anyhow when we have 440 square feet of mitigation. The list is on the introduction sheet. By the way, we also have a DEP file number for this, so we're hoping if this meets the board's approval, with Jen going on vacation, that you close this tonight and you vote and have orders of condition as soon as possible. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So consequently, we have an extensive narrative where we've gone through all of the performance standards, and we don't see any problems with any of the performance standards in this issue. We have put the mitigation planting, the sizes, the specification, the areas. We don't see any problems. We did talk about the less than 1 foot to 10-foot contours, which either justify or de-justify a coastal bank. So we have encroachment basically on a BVW. With that being said, I'd like to be short this evening, and hopefully I've said enough. If there's any comments from the board, I'd appreciate hearing them.
Okay, thank you. Courtney?
No comments.
Jen?
I have one comment, and this is for BSF Design and RECPAC. The only reason you're getting orders tonight is because 2 of these members are leaving and are not eligible to vote next week. So please do not wait until you come in and ask for a vote that night, because it is something I will absolutely recommend against.
It's only because of the potential quorum issues.
Right, it's going to be affected. I understand. I did it because I heard Jen was leaving for vacation.
No, well, you threw that fish hook out there, but that's the only reason why you caught something.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, it has nothing to do with my vacation schedule. I would have just put everything off until after I got back.
Mike?
The first floor, the basement is a concrete box, if you will?
Yes.
That's what it is. And the bottom of the box is at elevation?
Should be elevation 14, thereabouts. We're trying not to do many cuts and fills. It's a walkout, so the top elevation up top would be about 20, add about 6.5 feet to that, would be about 20 and a half, 21 feet.
So
With the septic system.
I guess where I'm coming from is that this is a cut project.
It's a, say again?
He's asking about cut and fill
You're removing
counts.
fill.
On the lower area, yes, but basically it's a fill site in the front, if it's going up to 21 and a half.
But there's a full basement.
There's a full basement, yes.
So to create the basement, you're removing fill.
Yes, of course, you have to. In the basement area only, but outside the basement, from the front of the house to the road, is going to be fill. So most of the fill that's coming from the basement will go to the front, plus the excavation from the septic system.
So everything's staying on site? Is that what?
It's
hearing?
a balanced site? What
You're
you're
hearing
telling me is
everything's
that
staying on
you're not
site.
bringing fill in, you're not taking fill off?
Oh, I doubt if that would happen, but yes, we're trying very hard to balance the site. We'd like to hold, I know when I do grading plans, I like to hold the lower grade. You can see the 14-foot contour in a bubble just below the south corner. So there's the 14-foot, and you can see it reconnect to the 14-foot existing contour. So it wraps itself around the corner, and it holds that grade. So nothing from there back would be removed. We also put a hay bale line, I forgot to mention, in there. So therefore, all the work is being done from the 14-foot contour, more or less, towards the front, towards the road. So if you add, most of the foundation guys go 7'4" for a foundation. If you add the 7'4" to the 14, you'll be up at around 21 for the foundation. Oh, and the top of the footing, top of the floor elevation, 22.5, it's right there on the plan. So,
I was going down and you were coming up, so we get to
Yes.
the same elevation. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
and the math works.
Anything else? Is that a no or?
It's a tiny site. Management, again, I don't want to beat that too much, but you have no place to stockpile fill while you're doing anything. I mean, you're
Right.
filling the hole, so making sure that you stay within those confines as best you can is important.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is to flag this off, stump the site so that it can be excavated, and the foundation's going to obviously have to be done first, and then the septic system last. So most of the material will be stockpiled up front and regraded, and then you're going to have more excavation, and some of it will probably leave the site. It's too tiny of a site not to take out and put in, but it's, for the only reason is site management.
No other questions.
Okay. Tom?
When I traversed through this, I kind of ended up in the neighbor's backyard. And I ended up kind of going.
Through the woods, a
Yeah, it
lot
was
through the
like,
woods.
you know, and their dog didn't like me much.
I can understand that, Tom.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. So when I was coming back, historically, people have done all kinds of things back there, left things for nature to try to reclaim, which she won't. And I'm not asking you to do anything past your property and in there, but just before you put your limit of work up, if you could remove some of the materials that are just on your property upward and get them out of there, install your limit of work, and then have at it. I think you're fine. It's pretty chuckly, though. There's some mosquitoes back there, too.
Oh, yeah, big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Russ?
Wayne, did you say you're removing the AC units, the outdoor shower?
Yes, yeah, there is none. There
is none. But-
There is
So
none.
you want to take that out of there, or wouldn't you prefer to leave it in,
No. we'll
just
take-
in case they decided to?
Dick, it's your call.
I'm Dick Nugent. There's too many troubles.
Sorry.
He's not having a central AC on a new house?
The central AC may not be the issue. The issue is I do not, and I repeat, do not want to get involved with an outdoor shower. I am not about to put in a separate septic system or to make it a 4-bedroom septic system instead of a 3-bedroom septic.
Who
I just
told you
prefer
that?
not to get involved in that.
Who told you that?
The bylaws in the town, they're illegal.
Really?
Yeah. Check it
Well,
out.
it's your choice.
How about if we call it an outside rinse station? And
That may
takes
be
it out of the
permissible.
outside. These
Okay.
things going in.
That's what they're called.
If we want
Right.
to change it to that, that's
That's,
fine.
okay, I mean, just so you have the option, and you decided to it, and then you wouldn't have a problem. It's like with the
Okay.
AC, you know?
Pads on here.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm assuming you're gonna have central air inside the house once designed. Every new house pretty much does now. So.
They do.
We'll have to have Wayne put the AC pads on there. And if you want a rinse station, I hate that term, but,
It's the implication of a
That's
shower,
our,
Jim.
that's our new term.
I don't want to get involved with the rinse station either. I prefer not to. So if we just have to put the footprint on for
yeah,
the
that's fine. I mean,
AC, that's fine.
We're giving you the option, so if
Yeah.
you want it, you
Okay.
know, it's well within.
Well, I don't want to have to wait for another 3 weeks until everybody's back. If we can amend the plan to show
Well, there's,
an outdoor shower, that's fine.
If
I mean,
I can through the
no,
chair.
an AC unit?
Yeah, we can do that.
there's,
Okay.
there's gonna be things that are, there's also a drywall detail that's gonna be on a plan submitted. So that's just something.
We're
that's
gonna need a
requirement.
new, we can close it and we can condition it. That the
Subject
new
to?
plan has to be
Yeah.
submitted with these few little details.
Okay,
And,
sure. No problem.
okay,
Thank you.
just better to be flexible now. If you decide you don't want it, then
Yeah,
you
right,
don't
you
have
don't
to
have
put
to
it
do
in.
it.
I thank that board for that lenience, thank you.
Yeah. Mario, are you done?
I'm done, I'm good.
Mario?
Well, I made an effort to review the wetland line that Wayne put out and his field data sheets. It's a tough delineation. It's a very flat
Yeah.
facultative zone, so I think he did a pretty good job on the delineation. So
Good.
I got no problem with that. Taking an overall view of this, I'm probably sounding like an environmental radical here tonight, but this is the only vegetated lot in this whole neighborhood. Every other lot all around it has a house on it. So this is essentially a sink for nutrients from road runoff, from lawns, from other septic systems. It's a sink for nitrogen, and this is within the drainage area of ultimately to Wacoit Bay, which is kind of a poster boy for water quality problems, I believe, in this town.
And you know what? If it didn't meet performance standards, then we would be denying the project. And that would be a good reason, a good justification, but it does meet performance standards.
Even though water quality impacts will definitely, I mean, once they put a lawn in, and maybe a garage with an amended request, I
It's
mean,
in
we're gonna have an
all the
increase in
work,
runoff.
all the work that's being proposed is in the B buffer. And just to correct what you said, that we're glad that you're showing some, you're gonna have some plantings here.
Mitigation,
Which
yes.
will be within the buffer, which, once they're in there, they're part of the buffer. But really what you're doing is you're keeping the A buffer intact,
That's what we try to do.
which is why you meet performance standards. I understand, I'm sympathetic, Mario, but that's a discussion when we're out there and to see what can be done about it. This is a discussion we have to make when we're behind this table following the regulations.
Motion to close and take it under advisement.
Second.
Any other questions on the board? Any questions from the audience?
And this is pending a revised plan that's going to show a cleansing station, shower.
We are going,
Plus-
right.
No, I think
No,
your
what's
client
gonna
said just
happen
the
is-
AC pads.
AC
You're gonna
pad.
talk with your client. What we're gonna do is vote an order of conditions tonight, which Jen probably won't get to until the beginning of the week of the 7th.
Yeah.
But we can vote them tonight. You don't have to wait till the 9th, which is
Very
our
good.
next meeting.
Thank you, okay. So, and I'll submit this, the new plan. And I'm sorry, it is AC units.
AC pad.
And it is
Drywall detail.
drywall details. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Did we vote, Susan?
No, we did not.
Any comments? Okay, motion and a second on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous, so moved. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
You're welcome, thank you.
Request to amend the existing order of conditions. P&B Realty Trust, care of Samuel Blagden and Jane Kress trustees, 162 Associates Road, West Falmouth. Request to amend the existing order of conditions, DEP number 253936, to construct a swimming pool, lawn patio, retaining wall, and pool fence, install native mitigation plantings, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I'll save any of my comments until after Mr. Ryder's presentation.
Good evening, Jeff. And before we begin, this site had neither a DEP sign, no order of conditions, no building permit. So I suggest
Contractor on this one,
you, I suggest you call the contractor and ask where those are.
I'm not sure who the general contractor is. I know who the framer is, but
Is this person with you?
No.
Just come up and identify yourself then.
My name is Jonathan Harley. I'm in a butter at 173 Associates Road, and I'd really like to know who is making this application, because I personally spoke with Samuel Blagden and Jane Kress, trustees, today. They sold this property in September of 2013. They were flabbergasted that their name was on the agenda. They have no idea why, and I would like a continuance until we know who's making this application, and instead of just P&B Realty. Some names in here that shouldn't be in here, according to both of those individuals that I spoke to today.
And they no longer own the house.
They no longer own the house. September 2013.
Sir,
And maybe it's a,
may I speak to the engineer company? Jeff, do we have a revised, who owns the property?
It's,
Solomini, correct?
right, that's Paul and Bill Solomini, that's P&B Realty Trust.
P&B.
That's not what the application was applied for this time, but originally,
Yeah, originally,
the P&B did not own the land, so that's why it was
care of.
care of that way. So I think when we came to amend, it was just taken from the original.
Yeah, it was taken out of the original thing, sir. So that was just, it can carry over from the original application when your neighbors used to own the property. It won't be under their names, it'll be under P&B Realty Trust. The amended order, they're amending an order that was issued to your neighbors.
So who's really making the application?
P&B
P&B
Realty Trust.
Realty Trust.
P&B Realty Trust.
It's a typo. They pulled it out of their computer and put it on. They didn't, they made a mistake.
P&B Realty Trust made the original application to raise and rebuild the house. At that time, they did not own the property, which is why we have it listed as care of the old property owners. It's just a carryover, sir. Sorry for any confusion.
But nevertheless.
Thank you.
We still need to have a DEP number and a building permit and order of conditions on site.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. That's usually something that this builder, does. He's not a slacker at all. I'll get with him tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
Is that RNA? Who's doing the?
Roy Hackenberg.
Is it RNA? Okay. Yeah, he's usually pretty good. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, we were out there together, and you thought it was somebody who usually has
Sometimes he
it.
puts something in the back of his sign.
We looked all around, and we didn't see it.
That's right. Well, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm
After that
Jeff.
start,
Yeah.
good evening.
Ooh, what a start. I'm Jeff Ryther with BSS Design, representing P&B Realty Trust. I just want to go over the original resource areas that we talked about when we permitted this. We have West Falmouth Harbor. It could be either land under the ocean or land under a salt pond. I'm not sure how you classify this particular one, but we inland from that we have a wide salt marsh to a coastal bank. This is a man-made bank. It's a stone riprap bank, goes about halfway across the lot. And then we're in land subject to coastal storm flowage over the entire lot. So if you've been to the site, we have a house that's well underway. It's all framed up. It's roofed, windows, siding. Starting on the interior at this point. The owners have asked me to come to you tonight to amend the order for something that they wish they had presented originally. This is a swimming pool that the rough dimensions are 18 by 32. And I want to talk about this little chamfer. Because a swimming pool in this town is considered a structure under the bylaw, we have to keep that structure back from the road layout at least as far as the house is. So you'll see we are 35.8 feet from the garage corner to the road layout and 36 feet here. I'm trying to keep it away from the wetlands as far as possible, but I can't go any closer than, say, 36 feet. So relatively small pool. It's about 5 feet deep. It has a grass patio around it, not a full, paved patio. There's a retaining wall. It's not a tall wall. It'll be a stone retaining wall. At the highest point here at elevation 7, existing will be 3 feet high. And then it just diminishes here back to 0. There's a set of stairs heading off towards the deck stairway. So there's a connection there. There's a gap between the wall and the house for passage as well. That'll be lawn. So this is the original limit of work here shown. And we want to stay inside that limit of work, so we're not going to ask for any further disturbance. There are 2 trees in this area, a 16-inch cedar right here, a 14-inch apple down here in the corner. We propose to keep those. You'll see the grades here on elevation 6, 7, 8, 9, and they all match in at the limits of the existing lawn. You see that lawn line is here. Now this lawn has been disturbed by construction. They've been stockpiling some earth here, and they also park there now. So I don't know if you've been to the site, but it was staked, and the new wetland, or the new mitigation areas were staked as well. One thing I want to point out, the previous owners had a few of these lawn areas down near the water, this little network of paths through a garden, and then a widened path which we've narrowed down on this design. The proposed mitigation required by this pool, because it has a concrete bottom, it's considered impervious, so even though it's rainwater will just fall in there and not run off. But that's over up to about 3,000 square feet, so we have 5 areas of planting. You see them here. They're green on my plan, and we have 12 new trees being planted. I did have some trees and some shrubs in this area, so those are now relocated down in this area here, and the trees primarily down in here. See the patch here, and there's a single tree there. The top of Coastal Bank is the top of the riprap, and it comes along here in dead ends at this point. The 50-foot setback comes down across the lot and then takes a radius around this point, and the 100-foot is here. So here's the A buffer for the bank and the B buffer for the bank. So the A buffer for the bank will be primarily filled in due to this construction. It requires us to plant in this area. So the A buffer will be, for the bank that is, will be totally vegetated with native plants. Now there is an A buffer from the top of the salt marsh that comes up to here. So this work is within the A buffer of marsh, but no disturbance other than former lawn for the pool. Again, the calculations are here. I did mention that the exact numbers are 2922 required and 2950 square feet of native plants shown. As you probably know, in about a month or less than a month, we're going to get a change in our flood maps and also the datum that we all use. Today we're using NGVD. We have to go to a new datum system to match the new flood maps. I will say that there's going to be a change in the velocity zone. It's down here now. We're in A, V from here down into the harbor. The new V zone kind of curves like right through here. And that 25-foot setback is going to be, say, into this house, let's say. I don't have it mapped, but I do have a copy of the plan. So I am sort of trying to beat the clock here to provide something that is not in the V zone, but in an A zone. I know it's a bit of a chunk here of a project to ask for an amendment, but that's my issue. I've been asked to provide this pool for this lot, and the clock is ticking, and to get a building permit, we need a decision quick, and the only way I could see doing it was through an amendment. So here we are. I'll
Jen,
take any questions.
Well, I think that excuse is, you get best, Jeff, but it's in the lawn area. The board will just have to decide whether they're comfortable seeing it under amendment, and we will remove the former property owner's names when we issue the amended order so that subject to the board. It's in lawn area. You would have approved it. It's not moving any closer than the present primary or the soon-to-be, the present primary structure.
It's within the
Yeah.
original limit of work.
Yeah.
Right, the limit of work was here in yellow on my plan.
But I have warned all of the engineers that come before you that these amendments are going to be looked at a little, they're going to be scrutinized a little bit more, and that the board is getting unkind. Oh, I see the look, Mario. Guys, that the board is becoming uncomfortable with the amount of work being proposed under these amendments. I've got you covered.
Courtney, any questions?
So you're increasing the amount, there was a lawn there, that was what was proposed before?
There was existing lawn.
Existing lawn.
Existing lawn, so
Yeah.
we're
There's a little
increasing
hatch mark.
even though you're filling up, you're digging a hole and filling it with water, you're increasing the amount of impervious surface, correct?
That's correct.
So is this a significant change or a minor change? That's what we're gonna have to
Well, it's
weigh.
not mine. You have to
Well, and if
determine
it's
whether
not minor, it may
moderate or
require
Well,
something.
there's three categories in your, one is, too big to be an amendment, then there's the moderate, and then there's the
Right.
insignificant.
Usually you would see this under a notice of intent, this type of project. It's lawn. I don't know, Jeff, maybe caught me in a good moment and find your argument about the flood zones and the change. You guys have known these were coming over a year. So I
No,
don't
we-
agree with the argument, I find it weak, but I'll be a little sympathetic from a staff point of view at this point.
Right.
So I just, that's all.
Well, it is something we've been trying to gear up for, when people call and we try to explain what's going to happen here. And it's not just the flood zones, but it's the datum that changes.
You have to
All the
do
contours go down a foot, and the flood zones are coming up, anywhere from 1 foot to 5 feet, so.
Okay, let's go have questions. Courtney, any questions?
My comment is we need to determine whether it's a major or minor, so.
Mike?
In a normal course of events, if I have to go see the site, it has to be restaked. In order to me to say I'm protecting the resources. I think it's a major. I mean, I think it's physically, if you can see it on a piece of paper and you know what it's going to be and you don't have to see the site, then the size of it isn't as important as what you're trying to do. So I'm kind of violating my own rule on here, because you staked it, and I appreciate it, and there it sits. And furthermore, I really appreciate your honesty. You just came forward and you say, this is why you're doing it and how are you doing it, and leaving it to us. And at this point, curious to see what my fellow commissioners have to say.
Tom?
No questions.
Yes.
They're gonna touch that apple tree, Jeff. They're not planning to.
Well, that's not the idea. We strategically placed it, far enough away. That apple tree is way down here.
I
I'd
just
say
noticed it kind of
With
goes
branches,
out.
with branches.
there is one branch that goes off in this direction. I know which one you're talking about.
I wouldn't want to have to clean that pool. There'd be a lot of leaves in it.
There's plenty of nice pool contractors in town.
To do it. So if I owned this house, I could have a contractor keep it clean.
There's
Okay.
many choices.
Full maintenance people.
Absolutely, yes. And they
Mar-
visit that
are you
island
done?
frequently.
Mario?
Same old argument, and I like what Jen said, they're looking for a pool and a patio, a retaining wall, a pool fence, and associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. I don't see how any reasonable person could say that's a minor change in the permitted.
No, it's definitely not
I mean-
minor. But like I said,
Do you want to hear my argument?
it's in the pool thing, let's just.
You know how I see it?
Let's just do it.
If this had come in under the original project, this would have been permitted. If we permit this, there's going to be a lot of planting down here that doesn't exist now. That's going to be better for the environment to have it, all this buffer. What I don't know is, I didn't realize that when I went there, that you were proposing to do this buffer, so I didn't see that this was actually lawn.
These areas here?
Yeah.
And it has grown in, because they haven't mowed it since last fall, but.
We have meandering paths. It's not
Yeah,
a,
I mean,
not a formal lawn.
yeah, I mean, it looked pretty vegetated to me. I mean, I did go, we were out there together.
Yeah, this particular area here is considered pretty much a little lawn there, but these are just paths.
That you're actually going to plant some woody
Yeah,
vegetation
they're
in.
about 6 feet wide or so, yeah.
That you're planning to plant with woody vegetation. So, I mean, you know, it's impervious surface in the A zone, but if you're compensating with 3-to-1 mitigation.
I think I mentioned it earlier, but
I don't,
again, that there is going to be, you know, a full strip, buffer strip 50-foot wide when they're done, so.
through the chair, if I may, there used to be the garage under, that was all paved. That was the paved driveway on that side where the garage went under, and there was auxiliary parking over on this side.
So it was all disturbed
Yeah,
area.
it was
Right.
just something that
Well,
was.
that's, I mean, if this had come in with the
If it had
original
come in,
project,
I'm
it
under
would
the
have been
same.
permitted.
I definitely agree with that. And it may not be minor, but it is not a major thing, because what was being approved was the construction of a home and all the appurtenances. And it's not like, you know, they were redoing a deck or something, you know, it's the entire site had been compromised, and
Madam Chairman, I think you can close the hearing and determine it when you vote it in a half hour or so, whether or not you think it's
a motion to close and take it under advisement.
Second.
Any further questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? Sir? Tell us who you are once more, so Susan has your name.
My name is Jonathan Harley. I live at 173 Associates Road, and I wear two hats. I'm also the president of Chappaquiddick Associates of the island, and I don't know if you all received a letter from Mr. Chet Harris.
It's in the file, so yes, we did.
Okay, so I'd like to reiterate what he says, but I also think 171 Associates Road is an abutter to this property, and that's a property that is used by the entire 37 homeowners on Chappaquiddick Island. And a number of them that are not able to be here tonight, that I have spoken with, are opposed to this. It also appears to me tonight, I didn't know that the velocity zones were going to change, but when they go in and we have a hurricane, all that chemicals are going to go into the harbor. And as Mr. Harris points out in his letter, right in front of 162 and in front of my house at 173, there, the DNR, Department of Natural Resources, has planted a whole bunch of clams to bed them there so that they'll clean out. And we're worried about the environment. You're, I don't know, 70 feet from West Falmouth Harbor. I don't know why you need a pool, but that's my personal opinion. And I just think that there's a lot of vegetation that's there now that will probably have to be cut down to put the pool in, and I don't know what the view will be like for my property or 171.
Actually, where the pool's going to be is all parking right now. It's all cleared.
Okay. So nothing's going to be taken out along the road?
No.
No.
Okay. But I also think that if you dig down very deep, you're going to hit water. I don't know how deep the pool is going to go, or
You
whether
said
you
it was
have...
going to be a shallow pool, 5-foot pool.
Well, but you've got to dig deeper than that. If the pool is 5 feet, you've got to
Right.
have something underneath it, so it's going to be more than 5 feet down. I don't know how close that will get you to the water table, but you're pretty close to the water, and I'm concerned,
Okay,
as
thank you.
Mr. Harris is, and the other residents of Chappaquiddick Island.
Okay, that brings up a point. Jeff, what kind of pool is this? Are they proposing?
As far as
Is it gonna be a saltwater
So,
pool? Is it gonna be?
Well, that could be conditioned if the
Did-
board feels that we need a saltwater pool. I think it was going to be more of a conventional pool, but, that's,
And
there's
what,
a
do you have a
concern
dry
about that.
well? Do you have a
He
dry
does,
well?
he does on the
Yeah, I
plan.
have it
All right.
right up here. That's the drawdown for winter conditions and cleaning. Yeah, about the depth of the, again, this elevation, you see is 9.5 on, this is a lawn patio around here, so it's not, okay, that's 9.5. The water will be about elevation 9. High groundwater is elevation 3. That's during a moon tide. So that's why we're putting retaining wall on this side here. And so we match grade here. We have a 2.5 foot high, 3 foot right here in the corner, high wall. So it's going to be, there's no need for, pumping groundwater. We're going to be above that. So it should-
If by some circumstance you hit groundwater and you had to de-water, you'd have to come back and let us know,
Right.
all right?
When we designed this house, we had the same situation, so.
And I can appreciate that, but just for the satisfaction of others, I want them to be aware that if that situation arises.
Condition it with the dewatering plan.
Exactly.
Okay.
And through the chair, if I may, have you discussed it with your client about a saltwater pool? You just offered it, and I just hate to condition it.
Well, I have not, but that's why I didn't call it a saltwater pool when I.
There's
Right.
more and more of that, just to avoid a lot of the chemical use of stuff as well. And it's not a whole lot different.
I have to be honest with you, though.
Guys, this is the name.
If I had a pool, if I had a pool, I'd have to clean it. But if I had a pool, who would want a saltwater pool?
Having
that's what I
gone
mean,
swimming in a bunch of bad pools with too much chlorine, I'm not,
You'd rather have a saltwater pool?
if they're 6 of one and 6 of the other.
Well, that gets to personal aesthetics. I mean, but,
I didn't apply for a saltwater pool, but.
no,
I don't wanna be
I'm just, no, I mean, I
denied
could
'cause
agree
I
with this
didn't-
gentleman, why do you need a pool when it's 2 steps to the
Right.
ocean?
Can I
But-
ask Mr. Rather a question? Where are the mechanicals going to go?
Underneath the porch.
There's an elevated porch in the back, and there's a note for that on the plan. It's right. Pool equipment beneath porch.
Hey Jeff, next time you propose a pool, you can put in with your notes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
We have a motion? We
Um,
do have a motion.
Going back to the saltwater pool, I guess I'm leery to, I did offer it, but I'm not sure if.
Well, that's not what you
Jeff,
proposed.
you don't have to decide that right
I mean, that's not what you proposed, so we'll,
Okay.
if,
Don't worry about it.
My
again,
client's not here tonight, and,
if you want to suggest it to your client, that wouldn't be a change, you just go to talk to Jen.
all right, okay.
It's fine.
It doesn't change any of the mechanicals of anything.
No, it doesn't change the footprint of the pool. the
Sir,
mechanicals
one
or
more?
anything.
One last question.
Yep.
How much rainwater will it take for the pool to overflow?
About as much as a lawn. It's not like it's
I'm just worried about the overflow and the chemicals going into the harbor.
to be honest with you, it'd be de minimis, because you're not gonna be swimming in chemicals that would react to skin. You're talking about extreme measures, and for it to filter through all this, what would come out of that in a rain event or a storm event, I I'm venturing to guess, would be so insignificant compared to the rest of the poo-poo to do caca that would come across that island and just go into the harbor, and then never mind everything that's gonna come from the other direction and come right back into there. You know, that this pool, I can appreciate your concern, and that was a nice point to give to the engineer. But in a storm event or rain, de minimis, it's gonna be, your dog could drink it. You know, it wouldn't, it's not gonna be that kind of chemical reaction.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, motion and second on the table to close the hearing and take it under advisement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, folks.
Is it hot in here or is it me?
It's hot.
My Lord.
You know, your choice is to have it freezing cold or muggy hot. Enforcement issues, Elaine Griffel, Rawson Street, East Falmouth, for clearing and altering wetland resource areas and in buffer to resource areas as defined in FWR 10.00 and 310 CMR 10.00. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, you've heard this property a couple of weeks ago under an RDA to do an addition, like a reconstruction of the porch. When Mark went down to review the site, there had been a significant amount of clearing done across the streets. In which this particular property owner had requested a vista pruning permit from this board a few years ago. He granted the vista pruning permit in August 8th of 2012. He did grant the vista pruning permit. It's within your jurisdiction. It's within 100-foot buffer to the salt marsh. It also happens to be land owned by the town and under the care and control of the Conservation Commission. So you, in good faith, issued the permit, and the parameters of the vista pruning permit were far exceeded. So the staff brought it to your attention at the last meeting when you approved the construction, I believe it was an addition or a deck for this particular property owner. We're now faced with an enforcement order. It's on your land. So staff is recommending, one, revoking any further vista pruning permit or permission for this particular property owner on your land, and two, the issuance of an enforcement order that will require the restoration of this. There are a few trees taken down, quite a few trees taken down. There are quite a few invasives on the site, and I had talked to a representative of the property owner who thinks they can do something to restore the trees, remove the invasives. That's where we're at. These trees were not cut with any sort of care. If you go down there, it was a pretty bad job. So that's the staff's recommendation. Revoke the vista pruning permit you issued in 2012 and an enforcement order to restore the site.
Are the, is the only restoration required on town Falmouth land?
Yes, they'll need
Okay.
permission from this board, they'll need permission from the board of selectmen for easement to do the work.
To get the ball rolling, I'd like to make a motion to rescind the vista pruning permit and engage a enforcement action. That's my motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Court, you have a question?
Just looking at the pictures, I'd characterize the cutting as a hack job. And, you know, So I wouldn't want to entertain a restoration plan which allows those things to kind of sucker out and do that, because it'll take forever and a day to get that back where it is.
Courtney, some of those trees are gone. I mean, they're dead. The tree is there, but it's not alive. I don't know what happened to it. There's no way to
So
stop
what I'm saying is that I would expect any restoration plan to include lots of new trees at a height that equals what existed prior to the cutting.
Okay. We'll see what I can do.
Mike?
The
They'll
vast,
have to bring the plan in, they'll have to review it with staff, we'll have to bring it to the board.
Mike?
the vast majority of homeowners, property owners in Falmouth really try to abide by our regulations. And it's not free. I mean, it requires time and effort. And when someone just violates, it's not fair, under the term of fairness, it's not fair to all the people who really try. It's just not. It's not. So I share Courtney's concerns that it's not appropriate. Something should be done.
Any further comment?
Yeah, I just want to add here, and this stuff has always troubled me, and I've been on this board for 11 years. And Mike's right. There are a lot of people, most people in this town respect what the regulations say and understand the reason for it, and essentially don't give the town or the commission an Anglo-Saxon gesture. So what I'm suggesting is that there's a cost involved here, which is the price they pay for violating the public trust, in a sense. That's why I'm anxious to see full trees put back in. There is a case I'm aware of in Washington State where a state judge cut down old growth, 4-foot wide Doug firs in front of his property. And the enforcement order stipulated, it was on a steep bank, and the enforcement order stipulated that every tree that was cut down had to be replaced by a tree of the exact or larger size. And the bank was so steep that in order to put those trees in, they had to be brought in by helicopter.
Well, all you have to do
And
is see the landslide.
the state of Washington
All you
upheld
have to
that.
do is see the landslide that occurred in Washington to understand what the value.
I understand,
of
so,
mature
but what I'm
vegetation
saying is, when you deal with enforcement orders, and just, you can't be sympathetic to the person who made the violation, who says, oh, I didn't understand, or all this stuff. Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. Is there any comments from the audience? Okay, Jen, you have enough
Yes,
information?
and I can always review Susan's detailed minutes.
There's a motion and a second on the table to revoke the RDA, allowing vista pruning, and to,
Engaging in enforcement action.
right, to issue an enforcement order requiring restoration of the land. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Jean Pagani, Foster Road, between Minot Road and Penescoy Lane, that's another enforcement order, July 9th. Other business, third enforcement order, 49 Captain Davis Lane.
Yes, Madam Chairman, this enforcement order was issued way back when. I believe it was in 2004, to the former property owner. The current property owner purchased the property with full knowledge that this enforcement order existed. I believe the property was purchased in 2004 or 5. So it's been going on multiple years. They applied for, the current property owner applied for an RDA back in, I believe it was 2010, in which it was mentioned in the staff report and to them that this outstanding enforcement order still existed. The original enforcement order, the removal of 11 trees totaling in or around 144 caliber inches was removed. The current property owner did file a restoration plan with the staff. We reviewed it. We don't think it's sufficient to address the violations that occurred many years ago. Again, the current property owner purchased the property with full knowledge of that. And we asked for certain modifications to be made with the applicant's representative out in the field. They received the exact same restoration plan on Monday. With no modifications made from the staff.
And my understanding is one of the suggestions you made was an increased number of trees, that only three trees were offered and 3 trees.
3 trees on the current proposal. There is a number of shrubs, which is a good start to restore the bank that had been altered, as well as there's dumping on the bank and things like that. So the shrub proposal is a good start to address the coastal bank alterations, but then you have to address the alterations that occur to the buffer of the bank, which is the tree removal. And they're proposing 1 white oak, 1 black oak that I would actually not suggest, given the fall-off problem in the town right now, so I would change that one to either a white or a red oak. The black oak is being tested, and 1 from Spring Red Seal. So the staff, like we set out in the field, do want to see changes made. Haven't been done yet.
Sir, would you like to address this?
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Brodsky. I'm an environmental lawyer with an office in Hingham. I represent Roberta Ketty, who's the current owner of the property. I'm here with Brad Holmes, who's a professional wetland scientist, who we reached out to develop the restoration plan. And we're here to resolve this 10-year-old enforcement issue that was not caused by my client, but caused by the Parkers, who are the prior owners of the property. We're particularly motivated to resolve this because our property is under agreement. And the transaction is conditional upon resolving this enforcement issue. And we're ready, upon authorization of the commission, to go forward and do the work. This is a shovel-ready project. We have a contractor lined up. The prospective buyer of the property has approved the plan that you've seen. And there were some minor changes to the plan, but I'll let Brad talk about that. So we're ready to go. We have an opportunity to resolve something that's been lingering for 10 years. The original enforcement order in 2004 was issued to the Parkers, and from our review of the enforcement order, apparently their landscaper cut trees in the buffer zone to the coastal bank. There's coastal bank, there's coastal beach, and salt marsh seaward of coastal beach, but this was in buffer zone to coastal bank. And there was also leaves apparently deposited on the coastal bank. Again, I have no personal knowledge of what occurred, but from our review of the file, it doesn't look like there was alteration to what's fairly minor coastal bank, but Brad will talk about that, other than the fact that there were leaves placed on the coastal bank. It's a small lot, a little over 20,000 square feet on Bourne's Pond. The lot was developed in 1970, according to the building department records. House was built in 1970. The rest of the lot is substantially lawn all the way down to the coastal bank. There's an existing deck. That deck is approximately, I don't have my scale, approximately 25 feet off the top of the coastal bank. We understand that between 2004 and 2009, the Parkers at various times tried to resolve matters with the commission. I don't know why it didn't get done, but it was actually in August of 2009 that Ms. Ketty purchased the property from the Parkers. That deal was also conditioned upon the Parkers fixing the problem. They never fixed the problem, which is why we're here. We're not going to do that to the next owner of this property. We want to get this thing done. I do know that in October of 2009, my clients got a building permit to reconstruct the deck. And at that time, the agent reviewed the property and actually signed off on the building permit. There's some suggestion that the board would get back to my clients, but that never happened. I'm not aware of any RDA filed by our clients, but then again, I mean...
Possibly could have been the older.
Could have been, it might have been part of what the Parkers were doing. So as I said, we're here to resolve the issue. We'd like to perform the work under the existing enforcement order. We hired Brad Holmes, who I think you know is a very well-respected professional wetland scientist, to develop our restoration plan. We're not aware of any evidence of any adverse impacts associated with the cutting of trees in 2004, other than the fact that there are fewer trees on the property. And Brad can talk about this. We're not aware of any impacts to the coastal bank, any impacts to the coastal beach, or any impacts to the salt marsh. But importantly, what we asked Brad to do here is we asked him to devise a plan to actually improve the functioning of the resource areas as well as your buffer zone, which, as you know, you regulate more stringently than the Wetlands Protection Act. The goal, and this is what I asked Brad to do, I said, you try and get as much diversity as you can to create functioning real-life habitat, not just lawn, not just trees, because trees are lovely, but trees don't have a lot of wetland value to them.
You know what trees have?
Yes.
You're talking to the wrong board to say that. Everything you see above ground is mirrored below ground. The surface area of the roots of trees play a really important role in protecting the wetland area values. So one of the most disturbing things about this, I realize that you have a plan and you're going to tell us about your plan, but our staff spent time and said, this isn't sufficient. This does not meet what was here prior to these being cut down. They requested more trees. They didn't get that. So just realize that's where we're coming from.
No, and
we would all like this to be resolved. But part of the resolution is going to be replacing the trees that were removed.
All I ask is that the commission keep an open mind and hear Brad's presentation. Obviously, we will defer to the commission's judgment. That's all I can ask. Just to highlight some of the things, and Brad is going to go into some more detail. We're talking about native plantings on the coastal bank. We're talking about removing non-native species and planting new native species, including saplings, shrubs, herbaceous vegetation on the bank, the native bushes around the coastal beach. We're talking about wildlife features to actually enhance the value of the wildlife habitat, such as bird boxes. We're talking about removing a portion of the existing lawn in the buffer strip to be removed and again replanted with native vegetation, all to create a more diverse environment out there than certainly what exists now, which I'm going to respectfully suggest didn't exist back in 2004 when they cut the trees, to improve conditions out there, improve wetland functioning. We proposed a 3-year monitoring program, and as I said, we're ready to move on this upon approval of the commission. With that said, I'm going to turn this over to Brad.
Good evening, Brad.
Before you start, Madam Chairman, the RDA was issued to your client, sir, in September 16th of 2009. The RDA is right here.
Yep. As I said, I wasn't aware of it.
Yep. And that's what I said in a note on there. Enforcement orders have been issued in 2004 and 2007 to former owners for cutting of trees and vegetation. Thank you, Brad. The obligations of the former owners for the planting, plan, and tree replacement were never followed through, and the current owners were made aware of the enforcement instituted prior to the sale and now wish to work with the commission. That is what they told us in 2009, when they asked for a deck.
That was for, they reconstructed the existing deck. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the commission. Brad Holmes, I'm a Massachusetts certified arborist as well as a professional wetland scientist. I was in front of you a few months ago for a project at 104 on Benahant Road. We received an order of conditions from you and successfully completed the mitigation work this past spring. So I've only had good dealings with the commission and with your agent. To get on to the project here, what I spoke with Adam and got a chance to look at the site, I saw that we could have an enhancement here. There are opportunities to enhance the resource areas that leading to Bourne's Pond, which is the important features being the salt marsh, the upper coastal beach, and the bordering vegetated wetland, or the coastal bank here. And also provide a vegetated buffer where there really is no vegetated buffer. Right now you have, as you can see, the package that I gave you was just a blow-up of the planting scheme and just the photographs that were included in the enforcement order. As you can see, the lawn goes right to the top of the coastal bank. So I think there's an opportunity to create a vegetated buffer. So to go through the steps, the first task that I'd like to propose is enhancement of the upper salt marsh. As you'll see in this photograph here, there are concrete blocks along the toe of the coastal bank. At the beach, obviously, those would be removed. There are some high tide bushes that are trying to establish themselves or were established and aren't thriving as much along the edge of the salt marsh. It's a great opportunity to add high tide bushes, which are hugely important to the salt marsh and to the wildlife in the area. So that's proposed along the toe of the coastal bank right above the salt marsh, the line of high tide bush. Next would be moving up into the coastal bank. There are a number, not that extensive, but there are a number of invasive plants here, multiflora rose and Morrow's honeysuckle that can be eradicated and removed so they don't spread within the resource area. That is proposed. There's a methodology for that so that it's care is taken and it's not gone outside the region that except the shrub that's there. We're also proposing, one of the suggestions from the site visit that we had a couple weeks ago is to remove daylilies. There are a couple patches of daylilies. Those will be hand dug and removed. That was included as a result of the last meeting. There are stump sprouted trees on the coastal bank that have been basically maintained as a hedge for view. Those were I believe, some of the trees that were cut in that event 10 years ago. Those are viable trees. They just need to be brought along. They're lightly pruned and select that terminal leader and can be, they're alive. They're viable plants. They just need some help. That's proposed as part of the project. There are a number of rugosa rows in there that need to be pruned to be enhanced. Another addition to this proposal as a result of our on-site where there's several areas of composting going on, not major, but enough grass clippings and leaves on the coastal bank that's preventing vegetation to grow. Obviously, that would be removed. And then in addition to that work that I just described on the coastal bank, there'll be interplanting with native shrubs and native herbaceous plants. They're all listed here. They're all coastal salt-tolerant plants that would exist within the buffer to this resource area. Those are all proposed on the coastal bank. In addition, I'm proposing 4 bird boxes on wooden posts to enhance avian wildlife habitat. And then moving into the buffer zone, what we're proposing is a 5-foot wide buffer strip where the lawn will be turfed out. The shrubs will be planted. The area would be mulched with natural wood chips, not a landscape mulch, just a natural wood chip, and left undisturbed to create a buffer that's there. We are proposing 3 trees in the lawn area. I know that the request is to was requested to pursue additional trees. However, our opinion is that the work that's proposed here greatly offsets any impacts that were performed 10 years ago. My thoughts are is that this work enhances all the resource area and actually provides a buffer strip and additional wildlife habitat, provides berry producers, a number of different attributes. Then putting trees in a lawn that will be mowed around and a little, planting bed around them. I feel that this is a better enhancement to the resource area and for the salt marsh and your interests. As Adam said, there would be a monitoring and reporting component to this that's proposed. We are ready to get this done. It's just similar to the one on Minnehaha Road. I actually performed the work. I would be hopefully involved as well on site to make sure this is done in accordance with this design and any conditions that you may see. Certainly open up to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, like I said, Brad did a nice job with the shrubs. We discussed that out in the field. It was a great start to address the bank and the alterations on the bank. Refresh my memory, the trees that were maintained at shrub height or were being passed, the clients have owned the property since 2009. 5 years? What kind of oaks are they? They were oaks, correct?
Yes, they're black oaks.
They're black oaks.
Yes. What's out there now, there are a number of trees that are out there now. You have a lot of black oaks and pitch pine throughout the site. Not, as you'll see, there aren't the trees within the area that were cut, but along the sides, it is treed with black oaks and pitch pines, and I assume that's what was there that was cut.
There were oaks and white pine and oaks that were cut. You said white pine before. Okay.
The pitch pines here, I don't.
Well, aren't we
I don't
lucky?
remember
I mean,
if they're
Brad,
white
Aren't we
oaks.
lucky that what is-
2004 either. I started in 2005, so I'm
Sure.
going on the notes from Mark.
Sure, it could have been, right.
Absolutely.
So, Jen, what was cut?
What was cut?
You have 11 trees at 100 and,
24 caliper inch oak, 24 caliper inch oak, 26 caliper inch oak, 16, a 16, a 19, and a 20, equaling 145 caliper inches. A pine tree, it doesn't reference the pine, 2 5s. Now, Chuck Martinson of then Department of Natural Resources issued a verbal cease and desist to the landscaping company that was doing the work. But they were already in the process of grinding out stumps.
I can address some of that.
well,
as far as sizes go, and I'm sorry, I did jump around.
I know, and that's the base, but the caliper inch isn't going to change that significantly to breast height.
it doesn't make that much difference in these
That's
oaks,
why I
you know
said
that.
inner
We're not talking about a banyan tree that goes like that to that.
And my goal here isn't to try to go back 10 years and recreate something that I wasn't involved with. Like I
Right.
said,
Our goal is to have you put something back there that will restore this site to a function that it should have grown into in the
Functioning
past
buffer.
10 years. And that's going to require some additional trees. And we don't want black oaks.
That's
We
not a
love
problem.
black oaks, but black oaks, unfortunately, so does the gall wasp.
That's not a problem, there's white oaks on site, we can change the white and red, that's not a problem.
And so the
And
question,
I don't think the board is going to want 11 trees because the site is fairly small, but you will have to do better than.
so you have 3, we have 11, let's come up with a compromise.
Like,
Again, we're here to resolve the problem, not make the matter worse. The only thing I was going to say is I recently had an interesting experience in Situate. I was reminded of it because I think one of your prior enforcement matters, someone went on town property and cut town trees. So I had a client in Situate who did the same thing. It was actually a surveyor's error. It wasn't an error on the client. Went on town property, cut about 10,000 square feet of mature, it was a upland pine forest. And so we actually proposed to go in and replace all of those trees. And it was interesting because the Conservation Commission recently attended a conference where there was a desire to, they basically said, we have hundreds of acres of this type of vegetation. It doesn't provide any additional habitat value here. Let's do something different. And so what they actually had us do is not replace the trees that we removed, but to create essentially an upland meadow environment to create
a new environment.
That's right. So again, we were kind of thinking about, all right, we have a blank slate here, let's create something with that kind of diversity, to create something that really is going to function. If you want more trees, tell us how many more trees you want. From a science, from a wetland functioning position, we didn't see the value of that, but we're here to resolve things with you.
6 trees?
On the plan that you show, does this plan, I don't believe it does reflect where the stumps that...
Well, they don't know all, because some were ground out.
Oh, I have a little schematic.
Well, in other words, based on your schematic, Jen, were there trees cut to the landward side of what they're proposing to do?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you've come up with a good restoration for the coastal blank vegetation and right near the salt marsh. I just want to see additional trees. And I would say 6.
And not black oak.
Yeah.
I think they got that message.
Just tell us what you want.
Yeah. We will. No, my general observation here is that you want to recreate a buffer that has trees and has understory. And, without the trees, that's when you get a really valuable buffer. When you've got understory and trees working together, that provides all the good stuff, food and shelter and nitrogen filtration and all of that. And that's what we're looking for.
So, and as Brad explained, there is a visible buffer, shrub buffer that will be put in a lawn.
No, but I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
But I also want to see some trees mixed into that so that we have a multi-layered buffer.
That's going to
Have some trees growing up, but I'd say 4 oaks, 2 cedar. You can talk with Jen and Mark and Brad and decide where to site them. I mean, obviously, this is a beautiful coastal site.
Yes.
People are going to want to have a view, but
Yes, no
enough
question about that.
to add and to have, Mario's been good at keeping everybody on task, to have diversity and height and shrub size and so forth in the buffer. So what do we need to do, vote this?
If you want to add the additional trees, yes.
To vote it to the plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and we'll obviously revise the plan after consultation with staff and make sure that they're happy with it.
Right.
And only when they're happy with it will we commence work, and we'll coordinate. I don't know if you want a pre-construction meeting, whatever you folks require.
Whatever Jen wants.
Well,
Yes, sir.
if I may.
Yeah.
You know who the contractor is that's going to be doing the work?
Right?
Yes, we do, yes.
Please let him be well aware of the conversations, the efforts put forward. It's important. I had said this earlier in the hearing, there's many eyes here. And recently, I dropped in on sites, and there was a disconnect. Unintentional, but there was a disconnect. I would hate to go to your site and see this, even though we're talking about 6 trees. And I don't want trees put in somebody's vista, I don't want that, I don't want to infringe on...
The neighbor's
Yeah,
vista.
you do the best you can. This was a substantial violation that the large trees that were there historically. I have not been to the site, I've only seen this. I was not there for the original infraction. However, we've held pretty hard to caliper adjustments, and this is, I think, a fair compromise. It's a wonderful start on that bank. I think that's a great solution. That's something, the stump sprout type of things, the leaders, give them 11 years and they'll be maybe not perfectly straight, but they're going to be a viable part of that bank. Learning the health of all that, that's part of it too, the dumping and blah, blah, blah. We learn as we go. But this has dragged on far too long.
Just to assure you, I recommended to the clients that they hire Brad to be the environmental monitor on site. He's going to be doing the supervision of the work. He's going to be doing the monitoring of the work. So we have been given instructions to get this done, get it done properly.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Gordon?
I'll follow up on what Tom's saying. I think when the final resolution comes down, the final meeting, that they should include that landscaper, whoever is doing the work, as well as Brad and as Jen, so that everybody's on the same page, and everybody physically signs off on it with blood.
Yes, sir. He was actually physically there when they had the site visit.
No, I
He's
know,
already been
but I
on
want to
site.
see, when it all comes down, so is Tom's concern is legitimate. There is a disconnect.
Yes, sir.
He's seen it in all the years he's done his work, and I saw it as a contractor as well. So, we're trying to safeguard the line of communication, so everybody understands what's going on.
What we're going to do is put a motion on the table, is to accept your plan with the addition of
4 Oaks, 2 Cedars.
4 Oaks, 2 Cedars. Well, they're...
And Mr. Holmes is the environmental monitor.
So just, it was a total of 6 trees, 4 oaks, 2
Total of
cedars.
6 trees.
That is correct.
Additional trees.
No, 6 total.
Total?
6 total.
Yep.
Okay, I thought you wanted additional, 6 total. Okay, got it.
Jim, can I
And we
just
have a
ask
caliper
Jen
edge on the
a
trees.
question?
Yep.
Jen, what did you originally want? When you discussed this with them, you wanted more trees. How many did you want?
I didn't make a recommendation. I
You
just
didn't
said
make
it
it.
has to. I mean, you've got to look at the site. The site's not going to support putting back 11 trees. I know that. It's just not going to support it. They're all going to be grouped together. They're not going to survive. They'll get stressed. So I think 6 would be good. He has 3 on the plan. I want the black oaks.
What's
We'll
the
put 3
caliber?
additional, 1 second. We'll put 3 additional trees on the plans. They can fit on the property. We'll stake where they're going to go. I don't want these trees under the existing trees, so that when they grow the branches, so they're going to be spaced across that property, but they're not going to be a wall of trees across.
Okay,
That works.
so,
May not work for Mark, but it works out.
I'd like to
Staff is agreement with it.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the planting plan, the methodology as described, with the caveat that 4 oaks and 2 cedars are going to be placed with the supervision of staff.
and Brad is going to,
And Brad will be the monitoring liaison to the contractor.
project. Okay, could I have a second?
Second. Discussion, okay.
What?
Uh,
You have a question?
Yeah, just, we're talking a total of 6 trees, and we had 145 caliber inches disappear. We had 10 years. Is there some minimal size to those trees? Is there some, I'm the civil engineer, and I don't want to screw things up, so that, I'm just asking, is there something that's reasonable?
Sure,
Brad.
the size that would be replaced is a 2.5 to 3 inch caliper. That's about the largest typical tree that you can get. Those are the trees that are proposed. But
We're
there's
talking an
also-
18 inch.
Right, there's also 41 shrubs proposed as well. So
Okay.
if you add up all that plant biomass, I think it's
Doing pretty well,
sufficient.
okay.
Doesn't have the same,
I would
doesn't
ask to
have
be
the same root
open-minded, and I
area
am.
coverage, but
Maybe,
eventually it will.
right.
Hopefully, these are going to mature into mature trees. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm just a civil engineer, I want to
No,
do
no,
things
that's
by
fair enough.
numbers.
And the other issue
I'm looking at
is,
like, we're getting 10% of what we had. so-
Mike, the other issue is in a site that's a little bit difficult environmentally, you're better off with a smaller tree that grows and develops into
what it wants to?
Into what it wants to, as
Okay.
opposed to something that can't deal with the
I'm
conditions.
happy. Very good.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Anybody, well, we haven't voted yet, but I think you know how the vote
I
will
think you're
go.
close.
Okay, motion and second on the table to,
Accept this?
to accept
with the
this
caveat?
with the caveat of the additional trees, the types of trees, and,
Placement, and then the
and Brad. Yeah, and the placement will be in consultation with staff. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jen.
Yes, Madam Chairman of the town.
Those of you in the back, could you not comment while the meeting's going on? Thank you.
The town is putting in a CPC application to replace the irrigation system at Falmouth Country Club.
A 40-year-old irrigation system.
50-year-old irrigation system at Falmouth Country Club, and they would like the commission's support, a letter of support from the commission.
Which you would be happy to
I
draft.
would be Melanie would be happy to draft for you.
Right.
And I will sign, or we can have, either you or Tom sign, and submit it to the town manager's office so they can include it with their application for the CPC. I think it's a good project, I think it needs to be done,
Absolutely.
and.
I have a motion supporting that.
Motion to support the irrigation.
Second.
Any comments? Comments?
I don't personally view golf courses as particularly environmentally friendly places, and we're saying, what are we watering? Are we watering grass that takes more? I'm uncomfortable as a member of the Conservation Commission who worries about lawns everywhere that we're now saying it's okay here.
Well, it's an existing golf course. Their existing irrigation system for the course is
Antiquated.
antiquated, thank you, Tom.
This will
It
probably
doesn't
save
have-
water.
It doesn't have the same controls of it.
You know our Cadillac control? They might have to go out with a tuna can.
Oh, I understand what
To
you're
see
saying.
how much
Mike.
water's
You-
coming.
You guys get pounded with no in-ground irrigation systems. But this is.
However, there's a lot of public benefit to this,
Yeah, it's
and
country clubs, towns.
it's something that, when you're
Golf
updated,
course.
you can cut the water usage
Yeah.
dramatically. And the way that they fertilize has been adjusted over the years as well. People are very cognizant of that at the course.
And this is an Audubon certified golf course, of which there are only 3 on the Cape.
So there's very
That's
strong
what I
efforts to
learned
do the
going to
right
the Board
thing.
of Selectmen's meeting the other night.
Water
But
control will be more
we're
effective.
endorsing, have we seen the plan? Is there areas that maybe you could do a better job than what we're just saying it's a good idea?
Yes,
As
that's
the
what we're saying.
Concom is what we're saying.
Yes.
We're
That's
just saying that the replacement of the old system with a new system,
It's gonna be a good thing?
it's going to be
Better?
better for the environment, better water usage. Better, okay, let's not, better than what's out there now. That
Far
they're
better.
still using, and that they will continue to use.
Until they replace it.
And I'm bringing this up for a second reason, is I am the
CPC member.
I am the
I
CPC
know that.
member at your request. And I want to be darn sure that if it comes from us, I'm going to support it. And I want to be sure that we're all on board for this, because I see.
I think this will better protect conservation values than the present system. And that's
Okay.
what,
If that's how the commission sees, then my job as a member, I'll go forward with it. But I want to talk about it before I do.
Absolutely.
okay?
Okay.
Fair enough. Court?
I understand Mike's concerns here, and it's more the question of consistency, and, are we gonna have a homeowner come into our next meeting and say, well, you just let the town put in an irrigation system.
No, you paid for it.
We're not doing that. This is not an irrigation system this is not a golf course that's adjacent to coastal resources.
No, but it is adjacent in areas, I believe, to wetlands.
And it's a better thing.
It may be, and if we put less water, if it's not needed, if we're not, you know how Dan Celine always comes in, and I always say to him, yeah, Dan, that's great if you have somebody who can afford a Cadillac system, but if you have a big system for a golf club, they're gonna wanna minimize the amount of water they're using.
I understand, I'm not opposed to it, I'm just simply raising the concern, okay? And if the commission duly notes that this is a particular project with a particular set of benefits and a particular improvement.
And Jen's gonna give all that instruction
all of that verbiage
to
has
Melanie
to be in
to
there
put into the
so that
letter.
it's clearly qualifying that this is different and not than what our policy has been with respect to irrigation
Yes.
systems on the.
Jen's got it.
That's the point.
Absolutely.
Yep, and Jen and Tom and I already talked about all the stuff that has to go in the letter, and we're
Okay.
glad you're bringing it up so that it's all reinforced.
There you go.
Yes.
So now, there's a motion and a second on the table to issue this letter that's gonna have all that information in it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Now, we're gonna move on to
They'll see me, that's all I'm gonna put.
vote orders of conditions. 26 and lot 179
All of them?
Ferry Road. I don't think we have to do the Town of Falmouth Mill Road. They're not gonna do that work.
All right, Ferry Road was for the, basically, the,
Oh, yeah, where's White's Landing? Oh, yeah, we
Placement
closed
of
that
the,
there, too. Yeah, but-
Mike, Tom, Courtney, that's,
Yeah, they don't have to do that.
they're not doing the extension, basically, the
This is
Monroes are
Associate Road.
asking to put a vinyl sheet piling behind their existing revetment.
I'm not in the form.
You are not on the form, Courtney. Return it at the property line of Ferry Road. Courtney is, Mario's not. She said you're not on the
Yeah.
Oh, Mario.
I was about to go to sleep.
Talking to you, I'm looking at Court. You are not on it, Mario.
I'm not on it either.
It's Betsy, Tom, Mike, Courtney, and Betsy, you four.
Okay, well, I want to make a couple of comments, because there was a lot of, so you can make comments first if you'd like to.
The
Maybe
only
you'll
comment
cover
that
some
I
of the
would like
comments I want to
is
make.
that the applicant, the abutters representative made multiple statements that the staircase leading down the bank of Ferry Road was illegally removed. That is not the case. The staff gave full permission to the property owners to remove that staircase. It was heavily damaged in Sandy. It was, I almost fell through it. There was no environmental reason why I would not allow them to remove it. So that was a misrepresentation by the abutters representative, the abutters engineer.
When I visited the chair, the site, that set of stairs was there, and it was a hazard to humans, is all I can
Yeah.
describe it. It deserved to be removed.
Yes, you did.
All right.
Your administrator almost fell through it.
Okay, I want to make a couple of comments about the representation by the people who have some rights on Ferry Road. And first of all, I want to say that the project that came in addressed our initial concerns, and the fact that they have a tieback for replacing an existing wall, that's a typical condition that we have on those malls. And frankly, I'm still flabbergasted that there was an opposition to this, because basically they're not proposing to do anything in the Ferry Road layout. You know, that's an issue for another day. The project, the other concern that was brought up was about the vegetation. And I will say, I would encourage us to put a condition in that Jen go over the vegetation plan again before the work is done. But where they propose to put planning, and that have the normal conditions that you'd have pictures taken ahead, and any buffer that's disturbed for that work will be replaced. But other than that,
Absolutely.
it's a permittable project.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have beach grass and I don't want beach grass.
Okay, could I have a motion then?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the order as discussed.
Second.
Any other comments? Court, do you have any?
No, I don't. I'll let it go.
Okay, motion is second on the table to close this hearing, to accept the order as discussed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. 8 Millfield Street?
Yeah, that's Mike, Russ, Betsy, Maria. Tom,
Okay.
Courtney, you're out.
Okay, we all remember this project.
Hey,
This is when we went to visit. Yep,
Yeah, much better plan.
yep.
They went well.
Yeah, and I don't think, you know, it's a pretty straightforward,
You were right though, Mario, when I went out in March, I didn't see the sea lavender or anything else, or all the little herbaceous plants that were coming up along the house.
Yeah, well, on the
Yeah.
foundation of the
Yeah,
house, I know it, yeah.
because when I went out there, it was March.
yeah, this will be a nice little,
It'll be a nice project.
nice restoration of,
And they're gonna do the Bacchus all along the,
yep,
yep,
but not the 20-foot-high Bacchus.
no.
Okay, could I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make move to
Accept it as discussed.
accept as discussed.
Second.
Okay, motion in 2 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Mario and Russ seconded. All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. 10 Nashawina Street. That was the
Change.
that was the minor change. I know, it's
It's
really warm.
beyond warm, it's roasting in here.
Jen, 10 Nashawina Street, who's the
Mario,
quorum?
Ross, Betsy, Tom, Mike, Court.
80 degrees in here?
Okay, we're all on it.
Tom, Mike, Court.
This is to
Redo
reduce the
patio.
size of the house a little bit? What?
Yeah, he was redoing the patios.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah. Amended, redoing the patios.
could I have a motion?
Motion to accept,
Moderate change.
motion to accept the project as discussed.
Could I have a second?
it.
Motion and second on the table to accept the order as discussed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. 2 Town of Falmouth projects you can do on the 7th.
Yes.
114 Quaker. The only difference we have is that a new plan to show
Additional trees.
additional trees
On the path.
on the path, and then a place to mow to keep the
Invasives.
invasives back.
Put some kind of construction fencing around.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Trees there.
Scratchy stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that can scratch your car.
Barbed wire around the tree.
There you go. Constantina.
Oh, I think I just put scratchy stuff on my note. God, I should warm right now. Okay. Okay, got it.
All right.
Motion to accept the order as discussed.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Lot 2 Quaker.
Oh, and all the happy stuff. Tom puts in the happy stuff about site management.
Yeah,
Correct. Do we want to make a finding that the discussion we had on the driveway, just incorporate
Yeah.
that into a finding?
That should be for both lots, I would think.
No, no,
No,
this
this is
is,
just
it goes
the-
across the coastal bank.
This is the one that just,
Yeah, okay.
I am going to put a finding that you do find that bank significant
Yeah,
to flood
yeah.
control, wildlife habitat.
Right. There is a coastal bank, but the minor, major, or moderate disturbance.
so that would be I'd make a motion to accept the order as discussed.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Got it? Everybody but Mario. 53 Edgewater Drive West.
This is pretty straightforward.
Courtney's drawing his out. No, we need a new plan showing his rinse station.
No, his
Optional
AC,
AC has an optional rinse station
Yes.
and dry well.
correct.
Drywall detail.
And drywell detail.
Drywall detail. Motion to accept the order as discussed.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
You
1,
abstained.
2,
You
3,
abstain
4.
from it?
Abstain. Yep.
Mario.
Sorry.
5,
Abstain?
Yes.
1 abstained, 5 yes. P&B Realty Trust.
Okay, wait a minute, go back. Dry well, got it.
We don't,
Pool.
what is this?
P&B.
This isn't on my thing, so I.
P&B Realty Trust.
They're voting some of the things that closed today.
162 Associates Road,
Yeah, we have to remove the former people's names.
correct.
I would prefer notice that pools like this to come in under notices. That said, I know they're up against the timeline, they cut and close. I would be sympathetic to Jeff's position right now, and I would recommend you guys approve it under, or approve it under an amended order.
So we would not meet regulations if it came under the new
Oh,
flood
it would,
reg.
absolutely.
It would under the new flood regulations.
We don't know yet. I don't know what the layout of that's gonna be.
I don't know how the layout would be.
Yeah, because he
Under
said
the
it
regs.
kind
It
of
meets the old
skirted
regs.
it.
It meets the regs we reviewed the house under less than a year ago. Regulations haven't changed
Okay.
where it would.
We're making a vote on what's before us now and what the regulations are now.
Yeah, I don't know how, I mean, if their elevations are, what did he say, they're.
Yeah, it's
contour
down a
lines
foot
are
and up a foot.
dropping, but their things are going up, I don't know how that's gonna change that.
I don't think anybody does.
Nobody does that.
Well, and you don't know what the,
Yeah,
what the,
so I can't tell you.
I'd
Okay.
like to make a motion to accept the order.
Second.
yeah, to accept the order, the amended order.
The amended order,
Allow the pool to go
OOC.
under an amended order.
correct.
Any
Tomorrow
discussion?
night For you, I will send an email out, I'll have Melanie send an email out tomorrow, warning the engineers that they better start really looking at their amended orders more closely. It's the last one to let slip in.
For the
We have a
record, I
motion, we
think,
have a second? Motion, second on the table to approve the,
Bets,
what?
for the record, I want it noted that I believe this is a major change and should require a notice of.
Okay?
We have a motion and a second.
Motion and a second to approve the order as discussed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
4 yes, 2 no. Courtney, no. Mario, no. How about,
Motion to adjourn?
All right.
I want to say something.
Before 10 o'clock.
she wants to say something. What order?
Before you adjourn, I just want to say that it has been an honor, a privilege, working with both Betsy and Courtney over the past, oh God, how long have I been here? 9 years?
Yeah.
You guys have.
You know, Courtney and I used to have black hair when we started.
You have been supportive, were completely behind me 100% when I started. I remember you
We came-
in the back of my little interview.
We came to your,
I was-
we were invited to your
I know
interview.
you were, and I just want to say that I will miss working with you both on a daily basis. I know you're not leaving my life, but I will miss the constant interaction I have with you both. Thank you for your support and your guidance over the past 9 years.
Court?
No. It's, I've served on this commission for 11 years, and I think, Betsy, you've been at least 9. I know I conned you into coming on.
Yes.
And it's been a real learning experience for me. I've been thoroughly enjoyed the interaction with this commission, and even though as its membership has evolved. And I've all enjoyed the interaction with engineers and attorneys and people that come in front of us. And I think that, I think this has been, it's been a great experience for me. It's been an honor for me to serve the town. And I wish this commission a lot of good luck, and I'll watch you on television.
We'll see you in a year.
Yeah, well, I'll just
See you in a year.
finish it by saying, you know, you four who are left are going to be joined by Mary at the next meeting. She was appointed. And I'm sure that Jonathan's put his papers in. And I trust you guys will, you know, bring Mary back up to speed and let Jonathan know how things run here. And it's been a great pleasure working with all of you. It's been a lot of fun.
And through the chair, I haven't polled everybody, but I think we can all, we can all hold hands on this one, that, the efforts put forth by this board. The guidance as, when I first got on, you were chair, and then yourself. I'm grateful for the service given to us and the experience that I've learned. And I look forward to being able to count on that in the future.
Yeah, we're not disappearing.
No.
No, I know
But
you're not.
it's interesting, I have to reminisce about something. I did a project down on Penzance Point about 14 years ago. And guess who was the site officer? And guess what? It was Tom. And guess what his word was? Site management.
That's right. Okay, so I think we have a motion and a second on the table to adjourn.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I think Russ
And Mario.
and Mario. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.